When we got to the point that I felt that the school district was not giving the best to my students or the rest of the students in the district, and it wasn't just me, the kids were talking about it on the daily at why doesn't our school have this? Why doesn't our school have that? Why do we get treated this way? It's not fair. We go to other schools to what the boy said, we go to other schools to play basketball. It's like ESPN in there, it's like college compared to our school. It's just not fair. So we did a show. I asked the kids, what do you think? And it was the children's idea. The kids came up with the idea. We should sing Michael Jackson's They Don't Care About Us.
Okay.
Oh, and I should say that what really, really stabbed me in the heart is the kids were saying, because I was saying, you got a student council, you've got student government. Do you tell your principal? Do you tell the administrators? Do you tell them how you feel? And and they were saying, yeah, we tell them all the time. Nothing changes. They're not listening to us. We tell them all the time. They just don't care. They don't tell us. That's what the kids said. I didn't make that up. So the kids' suggestion was to sing They Don't Care About Us in our Black History show and to change the lyrics. And then I told the kids, let me know, what is it that you want to put in, what is it you want to put in the song? Now, it was my idea. We had learned a song called Certainly Lord because we did a Martin Luther King show. That would be one of those unsupervised, one of those unauthorized field trips that y'all may have heard of.
Yeah, that's when you started causing trouble, taking kids on field trips and stuff that was authorized by. Oh, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna have to get you sidetracked.
But we did a Martin Luther King program at the Jewish Community Center in Ann Arbor. And
whoa, wait a minute. I thought they said you took somebody to Chicago.
We did. But we weren't Ypsilanti Schools then.
You were on your own? It was just the choir?
Ypsilanti Choral Association. Huh? The Ypsilanti Choral Association took kids to Chicago. You're getting way ahead.
Yeah, but the field trip to Ann Arbor was part of Ypsilanti Schools.
Right.
And they had a problem with you taking somebody into Ann Arbor?
Yeah, because I didn't get their written permission to take the kids on my day off, on a day that there was no school, and their parents signed for them to go. Their parents knew where they were. Everybody, I publicized it for weeks before we did it. Everybody knew. If they didn't know, I don't know why. But anyway, we were at the Jewish Community Center and we had learned the song Certainly Lord. It's a spiritual.
Okay.
And Matasha Allen, you may know her, she was leading it. And the original lyrics, she was singing in the style of Fannie Lou Hamer, which I can't do, but she was saying, like, do you want a job? And then the chorus sings, certainly, Lord. Do you want your freedom? Certainly, Lord. Don't you want to vote? Certainly, Lord. Certainly, 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 Lord. And we sang it in harmony. Well, we changed the words, and I had the kids. Again, I told the kids, how should we change the words? And the kids said, like, don't you want a swimming pool? Wouldn't you like to go swimming? Because our swimming pool had been busted for at least 3 years.
At the high school?
At the high school. They didn't have a swimming pool.
But doesn't Ypsi have a swim team?
No. I mentioned that, and I was told that the kids were swimming at Willow Run. I have not heard of a competing swim team, but I heard the kids, they did have a swimming pool. They did have access to a swimming pool, and it was at Willow Run High School. So I don't know what the kids at 2095 Packard Road were doing. I know they weren't getting on a bus going to Willow Run to swim every day, so I'm not really sure what that was all about. But they put, do you want opportunity? How about better opportunity? How about the same as Ann Arbor? This is what the kids came up with.
Sure.
Which is what, they were entitled to. That's their civil rights. They should get that. So we did that song. We did the Michael Jackson song, They Don't Care About Us. That's the one that got the most views. That got the most airplay. And we did this great Black History show, and we included poetry. It was a great show. I do have it. I do need to release it.
You got the video. You got the video.
Got it.
We're going to talk about that tonight too. Yeah.
And then what happened was we paid a videographer, and I don't want to get this man in any more trouble. I think we both lost our jobs over this.
Sure.
But he didn't deliver the video. And I kept trying to contact him, and he didn't get it. And we had already paid in full because he came very highly recommended, and he does do very good work. But for whatever reason, he didn't deliver the video. So I went on Channel 7 News. I called the news agencies. We're going to get this guy. We're going to get, you're not going to steal from my babies. We're going to get this video. So we went on Channel 7 News. And she said, let's shoot it in front of the high school. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. She says, yeah, but that will give it authenticity.
Sure.
This is the news reporter.
Sure.
And then she said, bring a couple of kids. So one parent brought their child. Another child came. Well, she wasn't a child. She was actually 18 years old. And, they made comments, and I made comments. And here's the kicker. So I got on TV in front of the school, in front of the whole state of Michigan, and said, why would he steal from us? We're already an underserved, poor school.
Right.
We don't even have a sound system in our auditorium.
Right.
That's what I said.
Right.
That's what I said. And the very next day, it aired that night, and it aired again the next morning. And the very next day, I was called into the administration office, and they ran me up one side and down the other. And the dumbest thing I did in this whole situation is I went to that meeting and I did not record it. I had a right to record it, and I did not. But there is a recording of that meeting that does exist somewhere. The superintendent did record it. She's got to record it. I'm sure she probably destroyed it.
They've never released that to you?
Of course not. No.
Okay. So do you mind if we go back in time a little bit? Because I want you to cook a little bit on this, but I want to go back in time and talk about what happened, because some people might not be up on the video. Yes, some people might not be up on the video. So I want to bring this to light so they can see. Don't pull that, because that cord's not working. So they can understand exactly what happened during the course of this, because I found the old footage that I used when I first found out about this situation. So let's break it down. We're going to break it down real quick. Let a couple minutes of this cook so people can understand where we were back in May. This is back where we were back, because you've now gotten the video. I'm going to go back.
I got it the very next day after the news report. Got it the next day.
Yep. And I took a little bit of credit, but I ain't going to take all the credit because I was loud too. So hold on one
You
quick
were
second.
loud. Yes. I will never forget you for that. Yes, you were.
No problem. Hold on one second. Yep, on this. So let me just go ahead and play the video again so we know exactly where we are, because most of y'all probably know, but some of y'all might not know. So let me just go ahead and play the video to what we are talking about, so I don't sound all ambiguous in here. I don't want to make it seem like I know something, y'all don't know something. So I want to clue you in on what was, because like I said, they've gotten the video since this video aired, since my video aired. I didn't take credit for them getting the video, but it was kind of strange that when Channel 7 went out there and talked twice, he didn't give up the video. But then when we did a live video and we put his name in the street out here in Ypsi, the video surfaced, I don't know, 12 hours later, maybe less than that, hand delivered to the teacher. But it is what it is. It don't matter to me how it gets done, just that it gets done. So let's just go ahead and watch this video real quick. Okay. And you'll understand why I am hotter than fish grease this Sunday morning.
Well, good morning. The choir director tells 7 Action News the school is already underfunded and the facilities are run down. And this video that the choir director paid for and the students raised money for was more than just memories. It was also for grants. The Ypsilanti Community High School choir says it's now out of $700 and a special video.
That performance meant a lot to me, and it's very special, you know. It set a message out, a message that everyone should hear.
The performance Jada Hickenbottom is talking about was in honor of Black History Month. The song lyrics were about the students attending a poor, undersourced school and feeling like the color of their skin and where they're from keep them from being successful.
We don't even have a sound system in our auditorium. It's very difficult for us to even perform in our auditoriums, and that's not fair just because these kids are stuck here.
Crystal Harding is the school's choir director. She hired a videographer to turn and capture the memories of the performances and then turn them into a film for a grant. The students helped raise $700 to pay for the videographer.
He sent the preview video, which was like 6 to 8 minutes long, that just had snippets of the concert. And then I said, well, this is really good. Can't wait to see the rest of it.
But since late March, Harding claims she has not heard from the owner of the company and says he did not honor the contract. 7 Action News did reach out to the man on Instagram, and he says the video is complete and that he will, quote, handle it accordingly.
We get lied to a lot, so it's kind of a thing where we do hope for things, but when they don't happen, we kind of just give up on it.
Harding is proud of her students and says they deserve better.
We just want the video. I mean, we're not trying to destroy anybody. Just give us the video. I know he's got the footage. Just give us what we paid for.
Now, Harding says as of last night, she has not heard from the owner of the video company, and the owner has denied all accusations to 7 Action News, and he also reiterated that it would be, quote, handled accordingly. Reporting in Ypsilanti, I'm Peter Maxwell, 7 Action News.
Yeah, you can tell those students are really disappointed. We'll see what happens after this. Peter, thank you.
So that's where we are right now. Well, that's where we were, excuse me. That's where we were. And like I said, since then, that video has since been delivered to the Ypsilanti teacher. Now, that specific teacher was actually suspended. That teacher was suspended, okay? And I want to take that one off. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull this one. Are we unmuted? Are we unmuted? Are you muted, Crystal?
Okay,
Oh,
I'm good.
Okay. So that at that point, you had gotten the video, and yes, the school knew about the newscast.
Yeah.
Did they suspend you immediately, or did it take some time? Okay, immediately. So
immediately.
Okay.
I got the email that night. Be in my office tomorrow. I got the email that night.
Okay, because I know that that's kind of cloudy to some at this point, the way the time was going. So the video,
there's nothing cloudy about it.
Well, not on your end, absolutely not. But to a lot of people, because that performance was from February, correct?
Right.
That was in Black History Month. But then it went all the way to May, where you hadn't received the video, and this person was holding on to the footage from the kids. But how come nobody was saying anything about that from the school? I said what I said on my video. I was like, somebody should have been up in his collar, because I knew people knew him locally. I knew people knew him locally.
I didn't communicate with the school about him. I never did.
Okay.
Because they never took an interest. They never paid for anything. They never attended anything. Well, I mean, not consistently. So, I mean, it's no secret that I ran the choir. I ran the choir without any assistance from the school district because, I tried. I invited them, but they never seemed to be interested in the choir. So, I mean, why would I tell them that I hired a video? I mean, the choir was funded by the Ypsilanti Choral Association, and the Ypsilanti Choral Association has its own board of directors, its own endowment committee, its own bank account, and its own accountant.
Okay,
So
but it's a school choir primarily, right? These were students of.
no, in name only.
But didn't the students go to Ypsilanti High School?
They did, yes.
Okay, so they went to Ypsilanti High School, and you were a music teacher at Ypsilanti High School,
This is
but
true.
but you were funded by the Ypsilanti Choral Association,
Right.
which has no connection to Ypsilanti High School or Ypsilanti Community Schools.
It's a booster group.
It's a booster group, so it's an
Yes.
outside entity.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, it is.
how can that be? Because I know that there are funds that are allocated to different programs and
No,
groups and
no,
no.
no. The school district was not funding the music program at all.
So there's funding for the football team.
I'm
There's
not
funding
sure
for the
about that. I
basketball
think
team.
they might have their own boosters. I don't know. Honestly, they might have their own boosters. They might have, since they charge admission, maybe they're
No, they
self-funded.
don't. They don't. They actually
Okay.
don't have a booster club. I actually know the person who's
Okay.
actually in just became in charge of the booster
Mhm.
program that is non-existent at this point. Well, I guess I'm assuming, and we know what happens when you assume, but I
Mhm.
guess I'm assuming that these programs that are supposed to be funded by the school system are not. So maybe the football team isn't funded by the school system, and maybe this is why
I
they
know
haven't.
mine wasn't.
Right.
Although
And
I
what
was
about,
told the Ypsilanti Choral Association does not fund your program. We do. We pay your salary, but all of the things, all the stuff I'm doing on weekends, on holidays, on my days off, I'm not getting paid for that. I mean, I
how
wasn't
can
getting
they
paid for it
govern
by
your time
anybody.
off? That field trip happened on a Saturday, and this is what I had heard. You got permission from the parents. You
Yeah.
didn't use any type of school vehicle or anything
No,
like that. The kids
no.
were. How could they govern what you do on your time off, on your weekends, or what those students do?
That's a good question. I
Okay.
will say that another mistake I made, and I still allowed them to be called the Ypsilanti Community High School Choir because that was their school. They wanted to represent their school. They wanted to represent their school district, even though the school district never represented them. But that's what they wanted. And that's what I was told at that meeting the last time I was on well, I was going to say the last time I was on Ypsi property at
Mhm.
that White House. As long as you call them the Ypsilanti Community High School Choir, you have to do whatever we tell you to do. You need our permission for everything you do. So
Even though they're giving you no funding, there's no support, and
I
I
shouldn't have
guess
called it. I was trying to give credit. I was trying to make the district look good. I was trying to give credit to the district, and that was my grave error.
sure.
I should have just called them, I should have just made up a name and I should have just called them the Scooby-Doo Choir. And then, as long as we're not representing the school district, then we won't get in trouble.
Right. So let's go to why the whole issue came about with Channel 7, because you did that video for a specific purpose.
Mhm.
And what did you actually hire the videographer to do that video for? What was your purpose for putting that video together? What were you trying to accomplish then?
Well, we were trying to do our Black History show. We just wanted
Mm-hmm.
a video of the Black History show, and we knew it
Okay.
was going to be powerful.
Okay.
We knew it was going to be strong, and we wanted to capture it on video.
Okay.
School board members attended, and they said it was good. They went on their social media and talked about what a great job the kids did, and they were proud. The mayor of Ypsilanti attended. City council members, community members attended.
Mm-hmm.
Central administrators did not attend.
Okay.
But the people who, they came, they posed, they took pictures with us, they used us for the photo op. So everything was good. Right.
We love a good selfie in Ipsy now.
Right.
So
But
let me
then
ask you this.
I mean, I got to tell you though, but when I said we don't even have a sound system, because
Ah.
that was yelled in my face.
Mm-hmm.
It was in my face. Why did you say that? Why did you have to go and tell everybody we don't have a sound system? Why did you say, and over, I mean, it was very clear about, and why did you have those kids doing that? And the principal said, you know, if you, nobody ever would have complained if you hadn't said anything. If you had, nobody ever would have complained
Mm-hmm.
if you hadn't told them to, or if you, I mean, I didn't tell them to complain. I told
Right.
them, you don't have to take this.
Right. So with that being said,
they
got upset.
yes.
Was it true that you were applying for a grant?
Okay, let me see if I can straighten this out. So last year we got a grant.
Okay.
And in order to get that grant again, we had to prove what did we do with the money. We had to show what we did with the money. So I definitely needed the video for that.
Okay.
And we did get the grant again this year. We did.
Okay.
We did get it. And, you know, I mean, you need to show the community. I'm a big proponent of showing the community what the kids are doing.
Absolutely.
You're not going to see me taking a selfie with kids and we just standing there looking cute.
Right.
I'm going to show you my kids in action, my students, my babies. I'm going to show you them in action. You're going to hear them singing. You're going to see them moving. You're going to see where they are and that they are learning and that they are doing something valuable.
Right.
So yeah, we needed that video.
So with that video, that would have been proof, because I've learned lately, you know, how the grant works. You know, the people that allocate these funds, they want to see progress from A to Z. Like, you started here.
They should,
as they should. Now, did that get blown more out of proportion? Because I heard that you had applied for the grant to get a sound system for the school.
No,
that was not true.
No,
that was
no
not
way.
true. Okay.
No, why would require pay for something that's part of the school building? That's something that the district's supposed to pay for.
This is what I heard.
Right.
I heard that the kids wanted to
heard
leave.
They got one though.
Okay, so here's the thing. Wait a minute.
And a swimming pool. They fixed a swimming pool too.
Oh, they're fixing a whole lot of stuff now. You rattled some cages during this time.
But I'm sure they were going to do it anyway.
Well, yeah, okay.
And
did they scrape the paint off the windows so the windows can open up? Did they fix the air conditioning? Did they, they're going to do a whole lot of stuff now because eyes are on it. They weren't doing anything last year. They didn't do anything the year before that. But now they're doing something. Nobody would have ever
complained if I hadn't told them to.
There you go. So what I literally had reported on was the fact that you did a grant, that you had applied for a grant, and you wanted some of the money for the sound system, because I literally was told that at a school board meeting. This is crazy. This is how rumors get started. Now, so that was untrue. But I was also told, because a person called me and said a company that wanted to remain nameless, a local sound system company, was willing to donate a PA system. That's true. Okay.
That is true.
So let me continue on that one. So I heard that a local sound system company had offered to put in a full-fledged sound system in the auditorium, and it was turned down by the school board or by the superintendent. That's true?
That's true.
Okay. So now, with that being said,
I believe they were out of Ferndale.
Okay. And I never found out. I never went that way, because once I found out that they actually turned it down, I was like, well, wait a minute. They don't have one. That was reported on. They don't have one. Now, what I reported falsely or ignorantly, because I didn't do any checking, I was just kind of following what I was hearing at these school board meetings we were attending, that part of the grant money was going to be used because the students wanted to, and it was just probably an overzealous parent to say they wanted this money so they could leave a legacy at Ypsi. Okay, so that's all false. No problem. Right. No problem. Because that doesn't hurt anything here.
I'd have been a pretty fool trying to buy a sound system for a school district that tried to fire me.
This is the crazy part. That's why I ask you, you were fired as soon as that Channel 7 thing aired.
Well, I was sent home. I mean, I
Oh,
was
I'm sorry. Yeah,
suspended.
yeah, yeah. You were
They called
sent
it,
home.
what did they call it? Administrative paid non-disciplinary leave.
Aren't you? If you are excommunicated from your classroom, isn't that a disciplinary action within itself?
Yeah.
So it was non-disciplinary. They paid you. And if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mistaken, someone told me this too.
Mm-hmm.
They said, oh, she'll be good. She's still getting paid. Was
That's
that
right.
true?
I was paid. Yeah. I was paid until the signing of the separation agreement. I was paid that whole time.
And we all know when they suspend you with pay, there's an admission of guilt right there. That's not just about the union. That's just not about because they want to be fair. They want to make sure you pay your bills. Because when they got you dead to rights on something, they will suspend you without pay,
Mm-hmm.
especially us.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been paying you this whole time. And
Mm-hmm.
I personally had a discussion with the superintendent in the hallway of the White House, and
Mm-hmm.
I asked her in the midst of other parents. Miss Tucker was there, Miss Bullock was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know these people,
Yes.
and I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Has she done anything that puts the kids at risk?" She said, "No." I said, "Has she done anything?"
Did she say no?
She absolutely said no. I got it on video. I have it. It's in my phone. It's in my phone. I'm trying to tell you, we were coming to these meetings and she never would come outside. But the
Well,
one
wait, hold
meeting,
up now. If I was taking kids on unsupervised field trips, wouldn't that be putting them at risk?
she literally said no.
Okay,
And
thank
then
you.
I asked her, was she a danger or did she threaten the integrity of teaching at the school? And she said no.
Right. Well, they didn't know what they were going to pin on me at that point.
This is true. This is when they had their independent investigation going
Mm-hmm.
on. But she came outside that night into the hallway because
Mm-hmm.
the parents had got a little surly by now. We had been to what,
Right.
4 meetings. They were putting up things all over the White House, and they put
Right.
some up inside of where the board meeting was held. She
Mm-hmm.
was taking the things down personally.
Right. I saw
I,
that.
I think some of them were kind of unsavory. I didn't see all of them, but we were out in
No,
the
I think they
hall.
just said bring back Crystal or something like that.
Well, to her, that was unsavory because she
Okay.
didn't want to be looked at. See, she tried to make it seem as if this all fell within the guidelines of them disciplining you, even though it was a non-disciplinary action. But then when people said, bring you back, they didn't have any answer to that investigation. And that independent investigation was supposed to have been started and ended by the end of school. Who's going to be investigating you in summer? See, that was the crazy thing. And then when they didn't bring you back so you could see your seniors off, and they didn't
Mm-hmm.
bring you back so you could be a part of the commencement exercises, and they didn't bring you back before the end of school,
Mm-hmm.
everybody knew that there was something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't terminate you either. So it just got worse and worse and worse. Then they just cut off all communication and started throwing attention in these other areas. We were
Right.
at the board meeting. We were at the board meeting when they ran the budget down. Now, if you're not going to be bringing her back, you've got to allocate a budget to be bringing in a new school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was mentioned of the replacement of you.
Mm-mm.
And there was no mentioning of any monies being allocated to the music program. Literally, like they
There never
just,
was. Yeah.
well, what you just told me, you guys were funded by the
We're on our
Ypsilanti
own.
Choral Association.
Yeah, we're
Right.
on our own. Thank God. We still
Yeah.
have our money.
Right. So,
And thank you to the Ypsi community and beyond who have, donating all the time, keeping us
mhm.
going. I mean, this is a good chance to tell you thank you. We couldn't do anything without you.
It felt like people were a little quiet at first, though. Was it me, or did the community not really the outpouring of support really didn't kick up until maybe it was a tad bit too late? Because I don't think the pressure was put on the board early enough. I
I
felt
think
like,
people thought, and I was actually told by my attorney, and I had said it to other people that they're just going to wait for it to quiet down, and they're going to bring me back. And quite honestly, if I could have been the kind of person who would have just shut up and been quiet and let them break me and, stop talking, then maybe they would have. But obviously, that's not who I am. And if that's who I need to be to work for Ypsilanti Community Schools, then it's better that I'm not there.
Right, right. And
I mean, I did go back on the news again.
you did. You did. You did.
Yeah.
And
With my
and
towel. I had just gotten out the swimming pool and I had my towel on and I went back on the news again. Yeah, I just had, well, I mean, she called me up and said, you want to, let's do an update. So I said, sure.
Sure.
Sure, why not? Just like you said, you wanted me to talk to you. Sure.
I didn't understand if they were upset about it shedding a negative light on them. Why didn't the school board or anybody from the school talk or call in to tell their side of the story? Why did they remain silent during this whole time? Because I never understood why no one stood up from the school board or the school itself. Why were they so quiet?
There was nothing to say. I mean, what this looks like is exactly what it is. I successfully pissed off the superintendent and the central administration. I mean, I was suspended the next day after I appeared on the news the first time. And then after they suspended me, they went through all my emails. They went through every notebook that I left sitting around in my classroom looking for dirt. They started investigating, trying to find what I had done wrong. And I mean, they did cite the letter that I was given, which was actually shared with Ann Arbor News. The letter that I got from them in May said they were investigating news reporting and student interviews. So when they said this had nothing to do with me being on the news, this had nothing to do with what the kids sang. I mean, they kind of, well, no, they lied because the letter clearly states that student interviews was part of it. And
what law was broken there?
None that I know of. Like I said,
the one child was with their parent.
The other student was a legal adult. So nothing was broken there. And they said something about fundraising, unauthorized fundraisers or something like that. But my attorney has informed me that they got up off of that. We didn't do anything wrong. Like I said, the Ypsilanti Choral Association, I couldn't steal from them if I wanted to. They got their own people. Their money is straight.
They're airtight. Yeah, they're
airtight. I love it. I mean, if we were never mind, we don't have to go there, but our money is straight. Right. And every dime is accounted for. I mean, I had to look up and say, what did I spend that $10 for? I mean, every single dime.
Once again, though, these are things that Ypsilanti Community School had nothing to do with. So let's say they're saying that mismanagement of fundraising.
Right.
It wasn't Ypsilanti Community Schools monies.
No, it wasn't.
There were no checks written to Ypsilanti Community Schools music department or whatever.
No.
Right. So what business of it was theirs to interfere with the Ypsilanti Choral Association or even you? Because this was an extracurricular activity as I saw it. For you, you weren't getting any benefit. You were teaching the kids, hours 1 through 6 during the school day, but most of your stuff that was going on was happening after school and on the weekends, and you were getting no support from. So
except for that one show.
Except for the one show that all
that
the
was
school
the one that we actually did at school. And
okay.
Damn it. I told the kids if it was up to me, we would not perform on school grounds at all. Because I don't feel the love, and but it's their school. They wanted to perform in front of their peers, and their peers love them. Their peers told them they love that show so much. I'm so glad. And my coworkers, my peers, I'm so glad you did it. Somebody needed to tell the truth. We're so proud of you. We're so proud of the kids. And man, it's quiet now.
So here's the thing. good break for the segue of that's where I didn't see the communal support. I talked to people at the library when they did the interviews, and I talked to people at the White House when they did the interviews. And the one thing, and shout out to my sister Alex, because I'm actually gonna copy this link and send it to her. You know, she defected. She went to Houston.
I just found that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's find me a new contact.
Yeah, we got to get you a new contact because there's gonna be some more heat that's gonna have to be. Alex was, and let me just put it out there. Alex was a shit starter, and she's a great roving reporter. And she came out, you know, for your cause. She came out, you know, for the murder victims, you know, in Ypsilanti and assault victims. You know, she was really big in our community for a short period of time, but a lightning bolt of a reporter. The one thing that I saw happening was you were getting great communal support with the snowball of the editorials and things like that, the MLive articles and stuff. But then I started to see less and less support from your colleagues. Now, I knew that there were some things that they couldn't do because they were trying to protect their job. And I never want anybody. I would tell people, you know, I don't want you to come on my stream because I don't want to cost you your job. If you want to jump in the chat, jump in there to where you can protect yourself. Don't use your government name. Use another name, but at least show Crystal some support. Well, I found out that they were being threatened by the higher ups of YCS that if they went public with any type of commentary, they would be disciplined as well. Well, not disciplined because you weren't being disciplined. You were just suspended. They said it was a non-disciplinary action, but they were threatened as well. Was that true? That your colleagues were threatened that if they showed public support of you or showed any type of,
one colleague told me, only one told me that they were told, stay in your lane. They were just said, stay in your lane. Don't talk about it. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. What lane is that, though? I mean, see, that's why I don't get like.
I was also told that, I might as well say it. The valedictorian was one of my students, and she wanted to thank me in her graduation speech. And she was told, if you mention her name, we're going to hold your diploma.
Come on now. Okay.
Child's mother told me, you know, I mean, why would she lie?
Absolutely.
So
and this is the effect. This is the impact.
Yeah, just keep it quiet. Yeah.
Uh-oh. So we getting them in the chat. Yep, she was told that.
Okay.
So this is what happens, and this is why we have these discussions, because I don't have the type of platform where I have an echo chamber. I know a lot of people think that, you know, I'm just in here talking to myself. But see, a lot of people like that, where they just talk to people that are going to give them back the feedback that they want to hear. I have no idea who Kiana Rutley is. And I appreciate you, sister, for putting that in the chat. These messages that I deliver, generally, they reach people that have no idea who I am. They know you. They know your work, they know your mission, they know your cause, but they have no idea who I am. Sometimes when people watch some of these streams on Facebook or YouTube and they get in the chats, these people they might as well be staged. They leave in commentary for the host to make the host look good. I don't need nothing for nobody to make me look good. I need the truth. And the truth is here.
And for the right person.
This is why I was like, look, when I saw a settlement, I was like, I was like, we gotta talk now, because I didn't want anything from you until I heard that you had closure with Ypsilanti Schools. So, which brings us, right, exactly, yeah. I mean, we kept our conversations very covert, you know, and we saw each other in public a couple of times and addressed each other in public on the Juneteenth situation and then dealing with. But that's brother and sister love. We can do that. Nobody can hold that back. But I didn't want to have any type of public commentary or dialogue with you until this was all settled. So we're going to fast forward because I want to go to another angle where we both just saw this new article that came out. We want to fast forward to where we are right now. You just reached a settlement with Ypsilanti Schools, and that is going to bring a true final close to your tenure at Ypsilanti Schools. So there'll
It's
be no
done.
more
Signed, sealed, delivered. It's done.
It's done. Okay.
It's done.
So I'm always going to ask this. Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And
Am I okay
you can
with
move
it?
forward. You can
Yeah, I'm
move
okay with it.
Okay, good. Okay. So that's always, I'm gonna ask that regardless. As a black
Well,
people.
no, let me say, it's
Okay.
not like they did right by me, but I'm gonna just choose peace to live my life and move on. Not to say that I won't continue to advocate for the kids.
Right.
And definitely I'm still running the choir, which has
Right.
just been beautiful. I'm running the youth choir separate from every school district, and that has been a great blessing. I mean, teachers teaching without a school district is a good thing. You got to try it. You got to try to figure it out. But no, I didn't want to be in a lawsuit that was going to drag on for years. And
Okay.
I mean, nobody needed that, and I wasn't trying to take more money away from the kids.
Right.
You know, I mean, she once told me that's where all the money was going, lawsuits. Superintendent, I swear to God, superintendent told me all the money was going to lawsuits.
So I've learned a lot lately regarding Ypsilanti schools and Ann Arbor schools. They pay out a great sum in lawsuits.
Yep.
Yearly or every few years or whatever. And I'm tripping about that because I'm like, if there's that much wrong being done,
yes,
why aren't heads rolling? Y'all continue to pay out lawsuits, but keep the same people in charge. That doesn't make sense to me.
And why do we get them $42 million?
Exactly. So those are questions that I know we're going to continue to ask, and hopefully we get answers for. But with your situation, you just received a settlement. You just had a settlement. I'm not worried about monetary values here. But the thing is, now they've left a crater in this program because we've already seen kids speak publicly about the fact that they wouldn't have even gone to school had they not been a part of your program. You've changed lives over the years. You've become not only a local icon, but you are a Grammy nominated music teacher.
Okay, that's over, but thank you.
I get it, but here's the thing. You know how many schools there are in the country,
right?
You know how many opportunities for music teachers to be nominated in the country. You are one of those. That is a feather in your cap, whether it's present, past, right. So, but it got minimized because if you had won, you wouldn't have been able to accept the award as the Ypsilanti school teacher because you were on.
I'm not sure. I think part of it is being having a community choir still would have made you eligible, I think.
Okay.
But that's not important.
It's not important at this point. But I know that there was an issue because that was all going on during this time.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was ironic. Yeah.
And I truly wish that it could have got ran up the flagpole of the Grammy association and maybe had them shed some light on it because you were a quarterfinalist, if I'm not mistaken.
That is true.
And a quarterfinalist, I mean, there's quarters, there's semis, and there's finals. Right. You was almost there.
Yeah.
You were almost there. So that shouldn't be taken lightly in this country that you were a quarterfinalist, not a candidate, not nominated. You were a quarterfinalist, so you were almost there. Now, with that, you got no support from the school board. You got no support from your admin. You got support from your colleagues, but under wraps because they deadened all that stuff. They deadened all that. What happened with your students when you were nominated with that? What happened with them? Were they able to do anything? Write letters, send emails, TikToks? Were they? Because I wasn't really up on that at that time.
I was not able to talk to them or their parents or their or my colleagues or the school board until all of that stuff until the investigation was over. But the thing about us going to Chicago and going to St. Louis, the trip had already been paid for. It was $45,000. It had been paid for by the Ypsilanti Choral Association. Somebody figured that would be a really, really, really nasty look to take that trip from the kids. So I was told, but again, by my attorney, you have permission to take the kids on the trip, but you can't call yourselves Ypsilanti High School Choir. And I was like, no problem. I wouldn't even want to do that. And
Right.
that's when we started the Ypsilanti Youth Choir. Like,
Okay.
I don't represent that school district anymore. So the Ypsilanti
Right.
Youth Choir is going to Chicago and going to St. Louis. It was a great trip. And they posted on their website, no field trips have been approved by Ypsilanti Community Schools. Okay, however you want to play it, but the kids did get to go to Chicago because they worked for that all year. They worked hard for that all year, and it was paid for. And they will go to museums, aquariums. They went to Vandercook College. They take campus tours. It's very, very educational. They're not just having fun. They saw a musical. It's
Let me
a
ask you
beautiful
this.
experience. So I mean,
Because I'm
so that wasn't taken from them, but they were supposed to see a musical in Detroit, and they were supposed to perform at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn. That was taken from them, and that was a $5,000 trip that the Ypsilanti Choral Association paid for, but I was not allowed to have contact with my students, so they
what?
couldn't go. Right.
So something else that wasn't funded by the YCS,
Yeah, they took it
and
from them.
they took it from him.
Yep.
Let
It
me
was
ask you
taking
this.
place on a Saturday. Parents had
Whoa,
given
another
permission.
off day,
Well,
another off
it's
day.
always. I never took those kids out of school. I don't play that.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna take a turn in a minute because we're just about to hit 60 minutes. But before we do this, I heard that this year also a kid achieved a college scholarship from your music program. Is that
Yep.
true?
Yeah, it's the same one who couldn't mention my name.
The valedictorian.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a valedictorian. They get a music scholarship to a college institution,
Mm-hmm.
and yet you were deemed
I never saw her again.
unfit.
Mm-hmm. I never saw her again. She sent me a thank you card.
Wow. So I'm
I
trying
saw
to
her
keep
parent later.
names out of this. I'm trying to keep names out of this, but Zachary Ross's name it's a problem right now. I see power trippy behavior from her. And it's not just in this situation. There's been some other situations. And we've most recently had some other issues within YCS. How long has she actually been the superintendent?
I think this is the 4th year.
And how many years did you have at Ypsilanti Schools?
36.
So 36 minus 4 is 32. So you put in 32 calendars before she took over the school.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't see this as something that, maybe we need to look more into this. They allowed somebody to come in.
The school board supports her 100%. No matter what she does, they support her.
Is she an Ypsilanti native?
I just read something where one of them said, "Oh, we owe it all to our wonderful superintendent."
Oh, what? Oh, what?
Hmm?
Oh, what? What'd they get? What they did?
When they got the $42 million to cancel their debt.
They owed it all to Zachary Ross?
It was something to that this is a vote in confidence of her leadership.
And this is the thing that I just seen the celebrations with Jimmy and Jeff Irwin and all those stuff. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So we're gonna turn that corner in just a second there. They're happy that their debt has been paid, but nobody's in an uproar about a 36-year employee who was going strong and getting stronger being excommunicated from a school system that desperately needs the arts program. I mean, I don't believe that kids can always rely on athletics. I don't believe that kids can even always rely on academics. Some kids are born to be in the arts. They're born that.
I got a couple of them. Yeah.
Right.
Well, definitely
So
the skills that you learn and acquire, standing up straight, presenting yourself, hold your head up, those are
I put
definitely.
sports and singing and musicians. I put that stuff all in that character building fold.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
learn
people are
things.
dependent on you. Yes.
Yes.
You got to show up because we need you. You have to be there for everybody else. It's not just about you. Yeah,
It's a team activity.
Yeah.
It's a team feat, when you accomplish it, because you can do your stuff in 5-part harmony, but when one part doesn't show up, that song is totally different.
Right.
That song is because you can't take 5 people and make your voices sound like 4. You know what I mean? So okay. $42 million. They celebrate. They dancing in the streets. They got this money. Now, before we get off into that $42 million, because I'm not really even concerned, I want to go back to that video that I played a little bit, and I want to cook a little bit into that scenario, because I said something that's going to bring us right up to today. Because when you sent me that, I just busted out laughing. I was riding in the car with my national rep, and you were like, "You see this?" I was like, "Yeah." I had seen it, but I hadn't said anything on it because I knew we were going to be talking tonight, and it was just so funny. But let me bring this screen share back up. This is hilarious to me. Let's drop us down again. Oh boy, this was hilarious to me that it came in. I think I got it right where we need to be here. Systems are leaking. We hear this all the time about the Detroit public school system leaking, and there's other school systems that are leaking around here. I get that part. I don't know how that could be with all the money that they get from the lottery, with all the money that they get from the casinos, with all the money that they get from the cannabis industry. I don't know how any school system is leaking, but let's just say they leaking. Let's just say they leaking. And since they leaking, these people went out, the youngins and the teacher went out and raised money to pay for a video to get a grant. See, that was false. To get a sound system for the auditorium. See, that was false. Remember I said I talked about that? That was false. We now know that is false. We have come to the truth on that tonight. I don't know who ripped the sound system out of Ypsilanti Community High School, but I know that there was one back in the day. I used to go to talent shows and different things back in the day. I've been to plays.
It was the same one.
Been to concerts at
it was
Ypsilanti
the same
High
sound
School.
system.
Why doesn't Ypsilanti High School have a PA system? It was the same sound system?
It was the same 40-year-old sound system. It blew out.
Wow. Wow. So don't these things generally get updated like when the technology changes? And I mean, where was the money going?
Ooh. Well, I mean, if it's valued, it gets updated and changed. The one at the Willer Run building had been updated and changed. They had a great sound system.
Okay, pause. Why don't they have any type of sound system where they wouldn't have to apply for a grant for it? These kids' jobs not to come to school to raise money, to have fundraisers and stuff. They should be coming there to be educated, and all the facilities should be full and tight. But why isn't Ypsilanti High School full and tight? You depleted one high school. Why didn't you take the sound system from Willer Run High School? You ain't using that high school. You should have took the sound system from Willer Run High School. The video was supposed to be delivered in February and was not delivered until after the news story, sometimes in early May. Now, I don't know what news story that was. If that was Channel 7's news story, if that was Freedman Media's news story. We ain't going to take... That was the next day. That was when you got suspended, right?
Very next day. Nah, Ipsy got him. When that aired, everybody, I mean, it was all over Facebook. Let's find this guy. Does anybody know this guy? And he delivered it the very next day.
And that's
the same day I got suspended.
I was tripping because I'm like, all the people that say they know people and they got people in the streets and they ears to the ground and all this shit, how come ain't nobody gotten this dude's collar? Like, get that lady her
They got him.
video.
They got him.
I was tripping and I'm thinking to myself, I know people have said, oh, I know that dude. I've seen his work.
Uh-huh.
You even said when you saw the snippets, the edits, that it had looked good. You was just waiting for the finished product.
Uh-huh.
And I think he took offense to when he got pushed in a corner by Alex or the media people and said it would be handled accordingly. So that's what we always say. It'll be handled accordingly. Well, if it was going to be handled accordingly, how come you didn't give it to him months ago?
Right.
You didn't have that much work. I don't care how good you are. You didn't have that much work, especially if he had already gave you a pre-edited, situation saying, hey, this is what it's going to look like. All you had to do is finish it, bro, and hand it over. But I promise I wasn't going to put his name in the street no more. I wasn't going to air his name. I wasn't going to talk bad about his business because he came through, and that was it. I had more heat for the people who stood down and didn't say nothing. And then I saw them all out there at the Juneteenth festival, wanted to hug you and hug the kids. Y'all ain't said shit for months. But now,
hello, did you see that? Did you see that?
The fakeness. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all ain't said nothing. Now we Juneteenth. We out of school now. Mm-hmm. Everything is gone way by. So I had an issue with that. So I brought that up about Willow Run High School. Now, what we've got here, let me go back to the, let me refresh. There we go. Is that it? Yeah, there we go. So I want to, says share this tab instead. Yes, I want to share this tab instead. There we go. This just came out. Ypsilanti Schools is considering move back to Willow Run Middle School building. What had happened was, I've been talking about this for years. Mm-hmm. Like, you left a fully functional school, which was in better shape than Ypsilanti High School. Now, I know there have been some issue. There would have been some issues with transportation, and I get all that, but there's buses and there's all kinds of stuff. No, they knew that the Ypsilanti High School building was in trouble from a structural standpoint when the merger came. Were you at YCS or the high school when the merger came? Or you were at elementary? I'm sorry, you were at Erickson. That's right. You said that right at the beginning. You were at Erickson. Okay. When you moved over to the high school, did you see the immediate problems or
no.
where? Okay, you didn't see the immediate problems.
No, when I first went to the high school, like the heat, I don't think that was ever under control. I remember when my daughter was at the high school, some 14, 15 years ago, she always had to wear a sweater or a coat. So, I mean, that's something that they just can't seem to get.
What you mean the heat? There's no heat in Ypsilanti High School?
I mean, in the winter, I had a space heater in my classroom. They just, because, my classroom has a high ceiling. I just couldn't figure it out. They couldn't.
Did you say you have a space heater in a classroom in a class?
Had to. And I brought in blankets. I had a whole bunch of those $2.50 Walmart blankets because the kids was cold.
This is Ypsilanti High School.
Yeah, but the sound system was functioning, and the swimming pool was open. There were lines in the parking lot. I would say in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, stuff just stopped getting done.
Okay. I mean,
the kids talk about, I really couldn't tell you about sports, but the kids talk about, I don't know. I'll just talk about what I know. But I know the sound system was hit years ago. And I had even told the administration I refuse to do a show in that auditorium until you give those kids a sound system and the lights. I mean, you go to Lincoln, they got a performing arts center, and then you come and Ypsi High School's auditorium looks like a barn. I mean, the floor.
Y'all sitting up there with 2 cups and a string.
Yeah, no, we didn't have that much.
Y'all didn't have 2 cups.
No, we had no sound. I had to buy, like the kids wanted to do their Black History show for their peers. So the
Yeah.
year before, in 2022 was the first time we did a Black History show, but we just kept that straight up Black History spirit. We didn't get political or anything. But I had to spend $600 of choir money to buy us a personal sound system so we could do a show. And I told them kids straight up, if anybody says, "Hey, Miss Harding's got a sound system," I said, you better tell them, In fact, I told them that we were going to name the sound system Cousin Tyrone's, so that if anybody ever asks, can we borrow your sound system, that you could tell them, no, you can't. It's Miss Harding's Cousin Tyrone's, and then they wouldn't even be lying.
You better call Tyrone.
That's right. Yeah, like, no, you're not getting no.
Okay, so wait a minute. You had your own personal PA system.
Yeah.
That what now was that purchased? Did you say you purchased that personally? That wasn't
choir,
purchased.
No, not my money. It was choir money.
It was the Ypsilanti Choral Association.
Everything is Ypsilanti Choral Association.
Okay.
Just for us to do a Black History show at the school, we had to spend $600.
And across the board, I saw mostly Black individuals across the board. I know there was the one white lady who was knitting,
right.
Yeah, during the meeting, and I just kept going, knitter, please. But anyway, across the board, most of the school board members are Black. What about the Ypsilanti High School brass? Principal, vice principal. Are those mostly Black people too?
I believe the principal is a Black female.
Got it. Vice principal.
It's changed. I think there is a white male, a white female, and a Hispanic male.
Okay, so they go in DEI with it. I get it, but I'm just saying during last year, where was
Hispanic, but
Latino.
Yeah.
Latino, yeah, because I'm gonna get
sure
I'll probably get a strike.
Speak Spanish.
They Spanish speaking. That's why I just say Spanish speaking people, because when I say Hispanic, they're like, it's not 1985, and I'm like, look, they say Latino, they say Latinx, they say all kinds of stuff. But if I say Hispanic now, I'm a xenophobe. But anyway, so here's a situation. She said, "Oh, the knitter got on my nerves." Yeah. She was being a straight up knitter.
I think there are 2 white females on the board.
2 white females. Okay. Well, one was knitting, and she was like on camera. She was on camera knitting during. Now she didn't knit during nothing else.
Right.
But when it was time to talk about your cause, she picked up her knitting needles and started knitting. And I'm thinking to myself, couldn't she wait till she was like out of the school board meeting to start knitting? Is that something that you even do? Do you bring your knitting stuff to the school board meeting? I mean, it had nothing to do with knitting that night. It wasn't like it was a knitting class going on. She literally started knitting. That would be just like me just start texting in the middle of the meeting. She was knitting. She showed absolutely no regard to your cause, to the kids, and just started knitting. So yeah, we gonna talk back. So this situation, they're considering a move back. Ypsilanti Schools considering a move back to Ypsilanti Middle. What are they saying here, especially after this $42 million get that has supposedly cleared up their debt and they're debt free now? What they going back over to Willow Run Middle School for? I mean, we can go through the article a little bit, but I'm wondering what's going on here. Ypsilanti Community School middle school students may attend classes on the district's east side next fall if plans materialize to move back into the former middle school. District administrators and the Ypsilanti School Board discussed the move during a meeting Monday, November 6th, noting it is the recommendation of the board's financial and operational subcommittee to move middle schools back to the former Willow Run School at 235 Spencer Lane. Ypsilanti operated its middle school out of Willow Run facility from the time the Ypsilanti Public Schools and Willow Run Community Schools merged in 2013 until students were moved to the former East Middle at 510 Emmerich for the 2018 and 2019 year. Now, the current Ypsilanti Community Middle School was built in 1959 and has approximately 89,000 square feet of space to accommodate approximately 660 students. YCS facilities manager Aaron Rose said moving to the Willow Run facility would provide an additional 87,000 square feet for about 165 more students in a facility that was built in 04.
04. Yeah.
04. So almost the building was built almost 50 years later. Why wouldn't they be there already, Crystal? Why wouldn't they be there? Why would they?
You're asking me to make sense of that?
Why would they move back to 1959 built when we know that they ain't built nothing? They ain't did no mass remodeling over there at Ypsi Middle School, the former Erickson School. Or East Middle, I'm sorry. Former East Middle.
East.
Yeah, former East Middle. Why wouldn't the kids have been there already?
I don't know. I mean, you want my opinion? This is strictly opinion.
I need your unadulterated, unapologetic opinion.
Me personally, whenever I was in that Willow Run building, my allergies would go nuts. I would just out of nowhere, my allergies would go nuts. And many other teachers said the same thing. So, I mean, there could be something that was going on there that they're not talking about, that maybe they fixed, and now that they have money, they can fix whatever that issue was and put the kids back over there. But that's just a guess. I don't know.
So looking in the chat.
Or maybe it was making money before. I don't know.
That's what I said. Look in the chat. My child's charter school rented it for a couple of years. It's a pretty nice building. So they've been up here renting the building to other schools, but the Ypsilanti kids over there in the 1959.
Yeah.
They've been renting it out. Now, I also know that they was rented out to churches.
Yes. Using that great sound system.
Oh, they using a sound system that they wouldn't let you have.
That was the nicest auditorium in the district.
Well, yeah, because I remember
seated like 1,000.
Look.
Ypsi High's auditorium only seats 450, I think, but the one at Willow Run seated 1,000.
That's literally a theater. That's literally a theater. I went to that auditorium and seen folks dancing in the money. You know, at a church that used to be in Ypsilanti, but it is now defected to Westland. You know, and I went and saw the bushes burn. And anybody know who I'm talking about? They know about the burning bushes. They was dancing in the money. They was literally just rolling in it and dancing in it. And it was the craziest hustle I ever seen, because they was renting out Willow Run to have their services. They owned a church over on Tyler Road. Then they end up buying an old car dealership on James L. Hart Parkway. And after all them gets, they ended up defecting and moving to Westland.
Oh, okay. I was not aware of that. I know what you're talking about.
They're not a part of the Ypsilanti community anymore. They grifted enough money. And they also had services at Washtenaw Community College. It was so crazy to see churches, and now I'm seeing other schools rent a building where they could have just used it for its organic purposes and had the Ypsilanti students being educated in it.
I don't know.
It's just,
I retract my comments. I don't know what's going on here. I can't make sense.
Absolutely. This is all off the record. This is all. So it says moving to the building would also provide more space for growth in a facility that is expected to be more conducive to STEM education opportunities, with a larger square footage and room for flexible seating, Rose said. YCS is targeting the move for fall of 2024. Ypsilanti recently received $14 million in federal grant money
Yeah,
for
that's another
funding over
grant.
Yeah, that's the IB grant.
Right, that's an
That's
addition.
that's the IB grant. They're doing the international baccalaureate programming,
Mhm.
currently available only in elementary schools to the middle and high school. Superintendent Elena Zachary Ross said. So now they got their debt cleared. Then they just got another $14 million to do the IB program. And I don't have a lot to say positively about the IB program because they keep implementing this system into these school systems where they don't even have adequate learning with the standard K through 12 programs. But they want to put IB in. Teachers ain't been trained on IB. And even the administrators don't even know how to delegate with IB academics, but it is what it is.
Right.
It says the board indicated the Willow Run building would be more conducive to creating maker spaces and flexible seating needed to implement an IB curriculum. What's flexible seating? What's that mean? What do they keep talking? Do you have any idea what they're talking about with the flex? I mean, were we talking about lazy boys, recliners? What are we talking about? Flexible seating. What is that about? Because I've never heard that used. Like, I mean, flexible seating.
I'm not sure about that, but one former colleague mentioned to me that they're going to need extra cameras because the issue was the building was so big they couldn't keep track of the kids. There was too many places for them to hide. So I guess they're going back to that.
Kids were hiding from the teachers and whatnot?
Oh, come on. Yeah.
But okay. So, and there were no security. There were blind spots in Willow Run High School and Willow Run Middle.
I mean, in my last year there, they had purchased a lot of security cameras, so maybe they have them over there now. I don't know.
This is crazy.
That's something they were spending money on, the security cameras. I know that.
So I want to skip down to this paragraph because they've already got the community going in it. Our Willow Run taxpayers have been paying that building off, hopefully for 10 more years. Now that the debt relief, YCS School Board Jillian Gainley said, I would really love if we could find opportunities to invite the community into that space and let people see it. So the building located next to the former Willow Run High School is divided into 4 separate areas or houses that comprise of 8 classrooms each, and compared to the current middle school's configuration of 3 areas with 6 classrooms each. The Willow Run houses have the ability to be subdivided, with each house having 2 sets of expandable classrooms. The building also has an additional benefit like an auxiliary gymnasium, an 8-lane swimming pool, and an 1,100-seat auditorium.
Right, which my elementary school kids used to perform in that auditorium.
Your elementary school kids did,
Yeah,
but
high school kids didn't.
Okay. Leadership.
Oh, wait, maybe I think they did a couple of times. We did a combined concert with the middle school.
Okay.
Early on, we did a couple of combined, and so we got to perform then.
And with obviously who's at the head of this now, Zachary Ross, if she's going to be put in play in this, who is actually above her, like in all of this? Because I believe that
you would have to go to the state level because she's running the school board.
Really?
Well, okay, that's an opinion, but and many people have spoken to me. It seems like the school board is working for her and they don't realize that she works for them. But I mean, I guess they're just all really tight and they agree on everything, and whatever she says, they're right there singing her praises.
So they're lockstep with her,
Yeah.
But not out of a good leadership. They're lockstep with her. I mean, is this one of those typical, don't want to bring a sister down type of things, or we want to keep one of ours in there type of thing? Because I've said before, I don't need Black representation. I need people who are going to represent for Black people.
Absolutely.
But seeing that she is the school board president, superintendent, whatever, she's got to represent for all students. But we already know who's directly affected in these situations the most. If there's going to be some disparaging situations happen in these type of situations, it's going to be traditionally Black kids. And I don't get caught up in a lot of the Black and brown stuff, even though I know that there is a dynamic to where there's kids who aren't actual Black Americans who are directly affected by things. But when I look at leadership, and I posted this a couple of days ago, I hold Black politicians or Black elected officials to a higher standard than I hold anybody else, because I'm Black.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hold my own higher. I can't hold the people accountable or as accountable as my people that didn't want us to vote. They didn't even want us to have a vote.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I come and say, oh, no, they're just as accountable? We know what they're capable of. If we know what they're capable of, then how are we going to go in there and be expecting them to acquiesce to what we want? Zachary Ross is the leader of this situation here. Now, in a power infrastructure, she's more powerful than the Ypsilanti High School principal and more powerful than the Ypsilanti Middle School principal, right?
Yeah.
Are they,
yeah.
have they shown any type of resistance or opposition to her, or are they in lockstep with her as well?
You don't do resistance.
Oh.
Don't you get it? I'm the sacrificial lamb. This is what happens when you show resistance, when you disagree, when you do something that makes the district look bad, because the district didn't look bad until I started doing, like, nobody knew, the problems we were having until I did that show.
You brought such a light
Mm-hmm.
to this situation. And
My
this is why I think
I did, yes.
The students, and yes, I don't want to take anything away from the students.
Yeah,
I mean,
take it from the kids, yeah.
Because, and I want to jump right back into that, but we're going to come back to what Marilyn Schindler said. The students created the lyrics to those songs, the Martin Luther King piece and the Michael Jackson piece. You were blamed by many people, even the administrators especially. They said that you made those lyrics up and forced the kids to sing those lyrics against their will. Did you ever hear that? Yeah.
And that I forced them to make those signs.
How
they held up at the end.
That during their performance, you forced them to hold up those signs. Who can force teenagers? We can't make teenagers.
I tell you what, if I could force kids to do stuff, I would force them to go to school every day, and go to every class, show up on time every day, and turn in all of their assignments. If I had that kind of power.
Exactly. If we could force kids to do stuff, we'd be forcing them to do all kinds of stuff around here. You can't force no kid or several kids to put up signs and sing at the top of their lungs. So they got to sing at the top of their lungs. There ain't no microphones in the building. So they're singing at the top. So you got to sing at the top of your lungs. So
they sang passionately. You can see just by looking. They meant what they were saying.
And the performances were very emphatic. They were I love illustrated performances. I love when kids utilize, and
they were very effective.
Very effective.
What they asked for.
Right.
They were very effective. I mean, it's a shame that you have to embarrass the administration to get them to act on your behalf.
And then they showed their embarrassment by trying to hang you out to dry. No pun intended, not meaning anything in a negative.
They did. They threw me under the bus. That's okay.
They blamed you for the inadequacies of that facility and the inadequacies of their actions to put those facilities back together. I heard about windows being painted shut so they can never open those for ventilation. I heard about the heat being
I don't know about that.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't hear about it from you in your situation. I was over at a couple of meetings.
Another building or something?
No, in the Ypsilanti. These were your colleagues.
Open at the high school.
Huh?
I don't think the windows open at the high school. It wasn't built
So
that way.
there is a teacher.
Okay.
There is a teacher who was interviewed and she got cut. She
Okay.
got cut. But Alex interviewed her down at the library and she talked about, because it was hot by then. We were, we were all sitting out there that day. That was the day I met your son. Was it your son and your daughter?
Yeah.
They were down at the Ypsilanti library, and she talked about how they had to have class outside that particular day because they weren't able to open the windows. Now I forgot what type of teacher she was, but yes, the windows don't traditionally open. But she was in a part of the school where the windows, I guess they were casements, and you could, if you could have, you'd have been able to, do the crank. No, that was all. They were all painted shut, and they had no ventilation, no type of air. And she spoke out about that. Well, that ended up being cut off of the broadcast that night. I mean, they talked to me, but I knew I was getting cut, and I told Alex I really don't want to be on. I got my own little thing that I do. I don't really need to be on. Put these other people on that make sure you get all her choir members on. We talked a lot about that. Alex and I were texting and everything, and all of a sudden she dropped off. But the main thing was she was getting people and talking to them, and that was one of the people who said, I can't go on camera. So she talked to him like right around like where the fountain was or whatever that is right there in front. And the lady told her, yeah, the windows are painted shut. She was like, the windows are painted shut. She was like, so we don't have air in the spring and we don't have heat in the winter. That was the first time I heard about the heat. I assumed she was just speaking on a locally angled spot of the school, but you saying y'all didn't have no heat. You was bringing blankets in your classroom too.
Oh, yeah. That's was
nuts.
The warmest it got, 68 was about as warm as it's ever going to get. I know it's more like 66, but I mean, it would be down in the 50s and sometimes the 40s in my classroom. It felt like a garage.
So if everybody's all behind Zachary Ross and they think that she's the next thing, and the best thing since sliced bread, is anybody going to take to heart what board member Meredith Schindler said she was excited about the possibilities for programming in the Willow Run facility, but expressed some concern about the optics of once again moving middle school students into a new building. I am mindful of utilizing the space on the east side of town as it's been largely neglected by the combined school district.
They've only been telling them that for 10 years.
Exactly.
I mean, the Willow Run people are, the Willow Run community just feels betrayed and neglected.
So you shoehorn these kids over there on Packard and over there on Emmerich, to go to the junior high and a high school, but then now you're coming back. And are they saying that this is just going to be for the middle school, or are they going to do something with the high school as well and maybe give that school an opportunity to be updated? Because it just sounds like they're only talking about the middle school level at this point, right?
I just saw the article today also. That's what it sounds like.
It just sounds like they're talking about the middle school. So what is happening with the high school portion of that complex? Because that's still
the Willow Run High School?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's that? I don't know.
now you trying to be funny. So,
I mean, I don't know what it's been used for, but it hasn't been used.
This is
I think when we first did the consolidation, Willow Run High School was part of Ypsilanti Middle School, Ypsilanti Community Middle School, and they realized that was just too much space, just too many kids. They couldn't keep up with them, so they moved everybody over to the middle school portion. And I know some sports team, the Toronto Blue Jays or something, were supposedly renting from that. Yeah, as far as I know, the high school's just always been rented out.
So wait a minute. So it's just a landlord over there. Who's the landlord? Who's the landlord? Who collects that money? Like when they get that stuff rented out by the churches and the charter schools and the MLB, who literally gets that money? I mean, does it go back into the school system? Does it help finance? Because it doesn't buy sound systems. We do know that. But who gets that money? Why from YCS? Where does that money go?
I don't know. Maybe more lawsuits. I don't know. I mean, somebody needs to investigate that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
lawsuits.
I mean, a lot of our buildings I'm not sure which ones were sold, but a lot of them are being rented. And a lot
The
like
ones that
3 years.
are not educating students, the ones that are not educating students, they're being.
Well, that's debatable if any of them are educating students.
Yeah, don't make me jump to Ace. But anyway, so I feel like we're jumping around. If I were just a member of the public, this might feel like willy-nilly. Absolutely. The biggest difference between YCS current reality and the one it faced when making the decision to move from the Willow Run building to the current middle school building is the reduced student count and the increase in administrators to staff the building. So
Right, increase administrators. Everybody see that?
So I'm a little kind of bent about this because I only had a chance to read through this thing once before we got on tonight. So I did read that right. There has been a reduction in student count.
Right.
You merge the school systems, but now you got a reduction. So that means people are leaving the district for other reasons.
Yes.
But you've got an increase in administrators to the staff. So how do you have an increase in people to teach when you ain't got an increase and when you got a decrease in students to be taught?
You got an increase in administrators. They're not teaching.
Like principals and
yeah, the people that get paid the big money. That's what we're increasing.
Well, what are they administrating if there's no? Okay, wait a minute. This is about to get hairy here. So
it's what what you see.
You don't bring in people. I mean, that's okay. That's like me saying I'm gonna bring in a couple principals and put them over here at this school, even that school is not functioning as a school. You just put them on staff. You just got some high-paying jobs for some people.
An administrator is not functioning well, you give them another administrator to help them. If one person's not doing their job, then you just put more people on the job. Instead of finding somebody that can do the job, we'll just keep adding more people.
Wow.
Even though the number of students is decreasing.
Okay.
I mean, that's any job. If you're incompetent, you get help. If you're good, you get left alone to do it all by yourself. If you're incompetent, you get help.
So right now, as it sits, they're talking about fall of 2024 with declining students, and dilapidated facilities. Because we know what state Ypsilanti High School is in. We know what state
it was improved. A lot was improved.
A lot has improved on it. And
apparently a lot of work's being done in the auditorium.
Okay.
Isn't that ironic?
I'd love to see if somebody would nominate you to have it be named the Crystal Harding Auditorium. I mean, I'm going to throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. Why wouldn't they? I mean, here's the thing. They need a peace offering.
I'm not getting any love from this school district until the administration changes.
Well, we can do something about that.
Okay. I don't need love from the school district. I really don't. I've always been there for the kids. I mean, you were alluding to, not bringing a sister down, unity. Let's stick together. One Black person should not, be trying to bring down other Black. I'm there for the kids. The Black kids are being brought down. The Black kids are not being educated. The children, the poor kids, the kids who don't speak English, they're the ones who are losing out. That my solidarity is with them, not administrators, not other teachers, not staff members, not adults. I mean, I try to live peacefully with everyone, but my concern is the kids.
And they're putting on this show as if what they're doing here is a step forward, when I see it totally as a step backwards. I mean, I get bigger facility, I get, better facility, I get all that, but why'd you move in the first place? You knew what you got when you merged the systems. So they didn't have nobody survey both sides and say, okay, here's the west side, here's the east side. We've got the west side buildings, we got the east side buildings. They didn't do that, and you ain't even got to flip a coin. You can say, you know what, the west side stuff needs a lot of work, whereas we could use the east side buildings And obviously you got an issue with transportation, so you fix that issue. You got situations with all parents can't get their kids, they're not on the bus line, this, that, you fix whatever issues you got to fix to accommodate. Why was the decision made to go to Packard versus coming on over to Spencer Lane with the school district? I mean, why do you think that was? I mean, when you can literally see better buildings over here on Spencer Lane than you've got over there on Emmerich and Packard.
Okay, again, just an opinion.
Sure.
At the time, they were probably thinking whatever affluent parent families we had left back in 2013 would be much more comfortable on the west side of Ypsilanti rather than the east side of Ypsilanti. That would be my guess.
Okay.
That we still, at that time, we still had some families from Normal Park, College Heights, that they probably would not want to travel, would not want to go to Willow Run High School. But it didn't matter. We lost them all anyway.
So, and these are situations I've seen. Brother Hill Harper recently dig his heels in, with the UAW strike. Most recently, he was here in town. He attended the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner, and then he went on over to the WMBK honors dinner. This is where I would love to hear his ideology once somebody breaks this down, not only just your story, but what they're doing here, because I keep hearing a lot of isms from Brother Hill, because we both do know that this is a personal close friend and former college classmate of Barack Obama. This is somebody that, is near and dear to the 44th president of the United States. Right. And where I look at Obama's image as, I'll use the term loosely, as a black man, as a man who married a black woman, had black children, and they had a black dog. I don't know if it was a black dog, but it was black family, it was a black dog. They didn't shed no negativity on the image of a black family in the White House. But as far as what happened that pushed the needle forward for black people while he was in office for 8 years, I felt like he left a lot on the table. Now, Brother Hill seems like he's running a lot of the same playbook with some of his politics. And he's very, very articulate, of course, because he's a thespian. He, the man's been in Hollywood for many, many years. I've loved many roles that he's played. He's been very entertaining to me. But I don't need him playing political theater here. And when situations like this come about, because this is literally directing our kids. When I say when I say our, it's directing our kids, because at the end of the day, most white kids going to be okay. And at the end of the day, many immigrant kids are going to be okay, because there's so many set-asides that are being put in place for them to be okay. The people who have been designated a bottom caste are that of African descent, American descendants of slavery, American freedmen. I'm just not speaking about black people. I'm just not speaking about melanated people. I'm speaking of people whose bones are buried here, and we were not allowed to be a part of the American educational system till 1957? 1957.
We're going backwards.
2 years before Erickson was built. I'm sorry, East Middle was built. Right. East Middle was built in 1959. They didn't let us go to school in America till 1957. That's how old. They should have named that, instead of East Middle, they should have named that Ruby Bridges Middle. Why would
can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because earlier I said I don't take those kids out of school. I don't play that. I need to make a confession. Okay. I was given the opportunity for my students to meet Hill Harper and sing for him and possibly be used as part of his campaign. And I got their parents' permission, but the only time he could come was during school hours. But I did get their parents' permission, and I did. I mean, I'm out now. What they're going to do? But I did sneak the kids because the parents were excited. They wanted their kids to meet him.
Sure.
Sure, thank you for agreeing. So I did sneak, and I, spoke with my friend across the street, and I snuck them across the street, and they met with him, and they all took their little selfies with him, and he gave them the speech, and he asked them their opinions, and they talked to him about their disappointments with school, and their hopes for the future, and it was all good. And then when he did his rally in Detroit, he invited the kids to come out and sing the Star Spangled. I mean, I hate the Star Spangled Banner, but I shouldn't say that. But it's not my favorite song. But we went out there and did that because I wanted them to be, not that I was endorsing him as a candidate, but I wanted them to see how that worked and have that experience.
Sure.
And I wanted them to sing in Detroit too. I wanted them to get a chance, anytime I can get them out of Ypsi to see something else, to meet other people, I think that's a great experience. But I will make that confession that, that was an unauthorized, when we walked across the street to meet Hill Harper. Yep, that was an unauthorized field trip.
Walked across the street.
We walked across the street during choir class and came back and made it in time for their next class. Yeah, that was an unauthorized field trip, but I did get parent permission to do that.
So with that,
see how honest I am. I'm honest. I swear.
That's why you're your problem. Your problem. You're gonna sit and take kids across the street to meet someone who I believe Hill is actually a good dude.
He's a good guy. I believe.
I've never. I mean, how good of a politician he could be, that remains to be seen. If he does win Debbie Stabenow's seat now. With these types of things that you've tried to put in play, because really what you've tried to do with these kids is you've tried to show them there is more than just a glimmer of hope out here. They're if they put their minds to it and put their actions to work, great things can happen. How come that's not taken into consideration when all of this is in play? Because it sounds like there was some personal vendetta behavior between you and Alina Zachary Ross. Had you had problems prior to the video, prior to the news airing? Had y'all bumped heads before? Because
no. There was like nothing happened, but since it happened, I have been told by others she never liked you from the moment she got there. I think you were the one to say that people were saying I've been a problem for a while. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can say is I was a cheerleader for okay. There came a point a few years ago when administrators started asking us to lie straight up. They started asking us to lie. Give the kids 50% on their assignments when they didn't even show up to class that day. Give them a 50%. Don't give them a 0. Don't give them an F. Just give them a 50%. Because when you give them a 50%, then it's harder to fail them. Don't fail them. Give them a D-, even though they didn't earn it. But don't fail them.
Isn't 50 a failure?
Apparently, I guess that was their point, that that either 50 or a 0, you're failing either way. So give them the highest 0 you can give them, or if their score is anywhere in the 50th percentile, then you have to give them a D-. Don't fail them. But I mean, it's basically like in my class, the only way you could fail my class is to not come, is to just skip class.
Right.
But if you skip my class, I'm not giving you a D-.
Right.
You never came to class. I don't even know you. We were told if on count day, if you get a text from them, if they don't show up on count day, send them a text. If they text you back, count them as present, and they will, get that $8,000. When they started saying, get that $8,000, get that money, then it became obvious.
That sounds like Pathways. Pathways, high school, alternative school rather, has a situation where their teachers can text the students for attendance. Kids ain't got to hit the building. As long as they make some type of contact with the teacher, they're considered in attendance. So during COVID, they had what they called basically like reports.
Well, that was
They
during
didn't-
COVID. That
Right,
shouldn't
right,
still be
right.
happening now.
Oh, it is.
Oh
It is.
well,
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe it.
And you've got scenarios like that. I don't know much about the ACE program, but I just heard about people graduating from school with some type of online curriculum.
Yeah,
Are humans teaching the
Apex
kids
classes.
over at ACE? Apex Learning. There it is.
Right.
Are students being taught by computers at ACE or taught by humans? And is this happening in any other school that you know of in Ypsilanti?
Yes. Yeah, the classes are being used at the high school. Well, it's intended for credit recovery. So it would
Okay.
make sense if you actually took the class and
Okay.
attended the class and you flunked it. So in order to pass it, you do the online thing, but it's being used as curriculum. Let me tell the story. I could tell you a
Please.
whole bunch. Um,
Please.
I worked with a student. The student was in their freshman year,
Okay.
and they had chosen to do homeschool. I worked with this student. The student was still in choir. I fed this student song lyrics because they could not read. I mean, they could not read. They were probably at second grade level at best.
What grade was this student?
It was a ninth grade student.
A
I mean, there
high
may have
school
been,
student.
yes, yes. I mean, there may have been some special, I don't know, some learning issues, but that student, instead of coming into, because it was the recovery year after COVID, we were in school in person, but this family had chosen to stay out. So the next year, I was told that the student was supposed to come back to in person, that they were planning on coming back to in person, but I guess they were so far behind, they decided to do the Apex thing instead. And what would have been that student's sophomore year, they had a diploma by January of their sophomore year.
Okay.
And I mean, the kid can't read. And they
So
figured out a way to give that kid 3 years. They passed through 3 years of coursework in just a few months.
isn't that child neglect?
It's definitely a violation of their civil rights. I mean, I could tell you lots more stories, and I'm talking about kids I know personally.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
just speaking in general, but I'm talking about situations where I knew the kid, I knew where the kid was, I knew they were below grade level, and they were placed online and graduated within a year. Like, how are you going to be 4 years behind, get in an online program, and then somehow you recovered those 4 years and you learned 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade in a few months? And as you and I both know, I believe it was St. Louis, where the parents or somebody sued the school district because all the kids were getting all these Apex diplomas. So anyway, my point is, when that stuff started happening, that's when I just completely lost it. Like, you cannot tell me, you cannot tell me that that's for the kids, that that's in the kids' best interest. You cannot tell me that you're doing that for the
Absolutely
kids. You
not.
cannot tell me that you care
No.
for those kids.
No.
You just
And
don't.
and I'm not sure exactly who they're trying to fool by passing along 15, 16, 17-year-old
Mhm.
kids.
Oh, let me
Give
tell you, I addressed it to the administrators. I addressed it in person, face to face, to the school board.
Okay.
One school board member told me they didn't know that was going on. I told another school board member, and I swear to God, she said, "So what? The kids graduating from the high school can't read either." School board member said that. Told the human resources director at that famous meeting. I told him, "Why are y'all letting all these kids graduate? I mean, now can you see why they don't want me out? I mean, is it clear here why they don't want me there?" But the human resource director said, "I've heard that myth."
Myth.
Myth. She called it a myth.
But it's not a myth. They're
And
if they're
everybody knows it. This is really the heartbreaking part. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret. Everybody knows it.
Zachary Ross is up on this?
Yeah. I was right there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, we had this conversation at that same meeting when she was hollering at me about that interview. I'm telling her, well, I got concerns, I got issues, like, why are y'all doing this to these kids? And everybody knows. It's not a secret. Everybody knows. Everybody's just being quiet. Nobody wants to get in trouble.
See, I'm extreme. And this is where I get into a lot of trouble with a lot of the people, the Negro whispers. They're going to run with this and say that I took a lot of what you said out of context. But you're not saying this. I'm saying this. As the Villager on Deck, I look at this as not only child neglect, but I also look at it as child endangerment, because if you go on and give somebody a high school diploma that they can't even read,
right?
And then with
a high school early, I mean, I can almost understand if you at least wait till they get 17 or 18 and they're close, so you give it to them anyway. But like, why do you have to give a diploma to a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old?
And how viable is? Ain't nobody gonna hire no 14, 15-year-old
able to go to Washtenaw.
No, they can't go to Washtenaw Community College. Hell, Pathways gave away a whole bunch of grant money last year to their graduates, and the graduates couldn't pass the entrance exams at the community colleges that they were applying for. So that money just runs back. But see, nobody ever hears about the aftermath. They just there for the commencement exercises and hear about, oh, they got some money to go to Washtenaw. Oh, they got some money to go here. Oh, they got some money to go there. But when they go fill out that application and do that entrance exam and they can't pass, well, if you can't pass the place that's giving you money to go to school there, something's really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the same position where if they're learning on the from what I know about the Apex thing, you click the same answer long enough, it just becomes right. And you just go on to the next one. Like, it's kind of like them. Go ahead. How'd that work out?
From what I've been told, the coursework, you get, it's like multiple choice or whatever. You get the answers wrong. Well, then they tell you what the answers are so you can do it again. And like one little girl said, yeah, I figured it out. All you have to do is write down the right answers and do it again. So, I mean, it's like you're playing a video game. There's no one actually instructing them. That's not an education.
So Apex Learning got a cheat code. they basically,
and another kid told me that, then you have to take the exam at the end of the coursework. You have to take the exam, but you can just Google. I mean, you're at home, so you can just Google the answers on your phone.
Hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. The exams are given online as well. They never go into a classroom to do the exams.
That's my understanding.
Wait a minute. I
mean, some kids could. I mean, I know of a student at Ypsilanti High School who is missing some math credits. So this student is enrolled in Apex classes so that they can get those credits back. And there is a teacher that helps this student log in so that they can play the game, but they're not being instructed in that subject. They're just taking this class, trying to get these answers, trying to pass this coursework and get that credit, but they're not actually being instructed.
Okay. I see all the pictures. I see the videos. I see all kinds of.
We're so proud. Hey, congratulations. We get the
man, they do it up for prom, I tell you.
Yeah.
They do it up for prom. The girls be having the sashes on, and the boys be having them tight-legged pants on almost up to their knees, like they're wearing capri pants with no socks on. I mean, I clown this generation's level of fashion.
We got the best, not we, that's not me anymore, but Ipsy always has the best prom. Always got the kids styling the best prom. That's a prize they win hands down.
This is okay. So this is just gonna take on a whole different life going forward, because I don't know exactly how many kids are coming out on a yearly basis from these programs, learning from the Apex situation, or them just passing kids through. But this is a direct contributor to all the other things that people are trying to stop out here, whether it be the senseless crimes,
Yes.
whether it be
that's why I wish, I just told a parent today, because she was upset about a situation that was captured on video and shared. I think you saw it.
Yeah.
And the parent said, I'm just going to pull my kid. And I said, well, as you pull your kid, please make some noise and let people know why you pulled your kid, because what is happening is people are just leaving. They're just pulling their kids. They're not saying anything. They're just pulling their kids, and teachers are just leaving. They're not saying anything. And
so you're suffering attrition from the students, you're suffering attrition from the teachers, and I'm sure there's got to be other administrators or people like that are moving. When and who steps into this situation? Is this like state level at this point? I mean, because there's nobody locally that's going to challenge what Zachary Ross is doing. They're literally losing this school district. They're losing it. And for them to go back and talk about they're going to do something at Willow Run Middle for the middle school students, these are desperation tactics. This isn't the first idea that they wanted to do this. They're trying to relive or recover some things.
Right. Well, yeah, I had said that I wish and I encourage the community, the people who spoke up for me, the people who would never send their kids to Ypsi Community Schools, the people who, I'm so glad my kids aren't in school anymore. All of y'all need to step up.
So
y'all need to step up for these kids, because their parents don't know how to advocate for them. Their parents don't know what's going on. Many of their parents don't even speak English. Their parents don't know how to advocate for them. Community, you need to advocate for these kids. You need to get to those school board meetings. You need to say, hey, we know this is going on. You can't hide it. You can't cover it up. You can't keep taking pictures and doing photo ops trying to make everything look pretty.
You hear so much about recidivism and stopping the violence and stopping this and stopping that. And I've always said from the beginning, if kids or even adults have something to do, I'm talking something substantive, they ain't out here doing what they're doing. These are desperation tactics. These are survival tactics.
Yeah, but you know what? There's plenty for these kids to do. They don't know how to do anything. They don't want to do anything because they don't know how to do it. They're not being taught skills. I mean, have you heard the story about the kids were offered free driver's ed? I mean, I got this from Washtenaw Literacy. They gave the kids free. You know how expensive driver's ed is, but the majority of the kids still didn't get their driver's license because they couldn't pass their written test.
And nobody's cross-checking these things.
Right.
I mean,
well, it could be you, Shannon.
Well, here's the thing. When I started hearing about the underage, because I looked at, there's no way a 15-year-old, unless it's going the other direction, and you're talking about a genius, you're talking about somebody who's been taking AP classes and has accelerated this and accelerated that. Ain't no way a 15-year-old is ready to graduate from high school. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like that. But to know,
there's no outrage. I mean, I guarantee you, all the teachers at the high school know about it. All of the teachers at the school where it's happened. And I'm not saying that the teachers don't love the kids and they don't care about the kids and they're doing everything they can do to save the kids. I'm not saying that. Got a lot of friends over there. No, they're not my friends because they're not with me right now. But I'm gonna say I know that people do love the kids, but you see what's happening. Like, how can you be quiet about that? You see, I hope y'all can
You just
feel
you just said it right there. If you love the kids, and you'd speak up for the kids. This
right,
is just like to talk about racism. It's not good enough to say that I'm not a racist. What you got to do is speak against racism. You
right.
got to act against racism. So it's not enough to say that you're proud of the kids and what they're accomplishing, because they really ain't accomplishing shit. You can't give a kid a diploma that they cannot actually use. That's like giving me a key to a Ford and rolling up a car, a Chevy,
Mm-hmm.
and saying, go ahead and start that car. You know good and well that car ain't gonna start.
Right.
You giving a kid a diploma and
And
giving
the
them
argument,
scholarships. Go
the
ahead.
argument is, they won't, if you don't give them a diploma, and even if this was a good argument, why are you giving it to them at 14, 15, and 16? But if you don't give them a diploma, then their life's going to be that much harder. Well, you're giving them a diploma they can't use. I mean, a
Whose
lot of these
idea
kids, they
was
can't
that?
they
When did
can't
that
keep
come about?
jobs. They don't have
When,
life skills. They don't
didn't
know that you have to go to work every day, whether you feel like it or not. I mean,
didn't
I had a
somebody tell
student.
me,
Hmm?
you know, a family, or you are close? I'm not sure if it's you. It could be you.
Hmm.
But this has happened several times to people that
Hmm.
you either know or people that you know. Like,
Hmm.
this is happening. So how long has this actually been going on? Is this a 2-year, 3, 4, 5-year thing? How?
It's been going on, but last year it was completely out of control. The 22-23 school year was ridiculous. A teacher told me that the high school lost 24 seniors to that online program.
Wow.
And I know of one, and every one of them graduated. And I know of one who was failing every class, did not come to school at all, was failing every class, had failed most of the classes the year before, got switched to that school, and got switched to the online program and had her diploma quicker than the kids who were going to school working every day.
And with that being said, this is a person with inferior capabilities along the reading, writing, mathematics spectrum.
Maybe. Well, I mean, how well could they be doing if they weren't going to school and failing every class? I mean, it was probably an intelligent child. The kid probably
Okay.
had aptitude,
Sure.
but if you're working a job, you got to go every day, whether you feel like
Right.
it or not. You got to show up on time.
Right.
If the job is stressful, your boss doesn't care. You have responsibilities at your job. You have to do them, and we're not cranking out a workforce that understands that. And that's another thing that the community needs to understand, that these kids being allowed to leave school without life skills, that's your community. That's your
Right.
local workforce.
Right. And
That's your crime rate. I hate to say it like that, but it's
you,
the truth.
you give somebody that's 15, 16, or 14, 15, 16, a diploma. What do they say? The average person is not fully developed till about 26 years old. So you're telling me that you're willing to turn somebody loose out of the scholastic system
Mm-hmm.
by giving them a useless diploma, knowing
Mm-hmm.
good and well they can't work nowhere.
Right.
Only thing they could do would be to go to school and try to acquire some type of situation, but they're not even
Mm-mm.
concerned with that.
Mm-mm, they
They're
can't.
getting them out of the wheel, and then up
But you
comes the
know what
new.
else? They
Mm,
can't even street hustle. Because if you think
mm,
back in the 80s, I hate using this. No, I'm gonna use it. Like back in the day, back during the crack epidemic, how those kids
mhm,
would be on the corner with their beepers. Those kids would be on the corner for long hours doing their
mhm,
jobs
mhm.
every day, getting paid. I mean, I don't even think. I mean, these kids couldn't stay off their phone long enough to pay attention to what they're supposed to be doing.
With that being said, are there tours like the administration or the Zachary Ross or anybody going to these schools unannounced? Because you got to have the element of surprise. You don't want to tell them you're coming, because that's when they get to cleaning up and whatnot. But has the school board taken a tour into these facilities and seen what these
No, they're not
children?
there. They're not visible in the schools. The kids don't know who they are. I showed a picture of the school board and the superintendent on the big screen in my classroom, and my students couldn't identify it. A couple of them could identify the
I
superintendent,
got you. Yeah.
but they had no idea who those people were. But they did say that guy that looked like Frozone. They were talking about the former superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying he was there. They saw him all the time. He was in the building all the time. And I brought that up that, these kids don't even know who you are at
Right.
that damn meeting. And her response was, well, the reason I can't be all up in the building smiling at everybody is I'm here talking to lawyers all day.
Right. They put a
True story.
pigeonhole
It's on
on
tape
you.
somewhere.
I'm sorry, I cut you off there. What'd you say,
No, I
sister?
said true story. It's been recorded. The recording exists somewhere.
So I've always just felt like they used you as, and we've used the term sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
They used you to make you look like you were anti administration, anti this, anti that, when all you were trying to do was put this thing together the right way. And they
I'm
didn't do
anti-oppression.
anti-oppression.
I
Absolutely.
really am anti-oppression, which makes me anti-administration at this point. Because I mean, when they started doing the graduation thing, that's like they really do not care about these kids. That's why it was so easy to put the lyrics together for "They Don't Really Care About Us."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the only person saying it. I'm many people that are saying the same thing I'm telling you right now, but they'll only whisper it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But it's not just Ipsy. It's happening all over the country. Like I said, St. Louis, they sued their school district.
They win?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, I sent you that article. It was the exact same situation talking about how kids could just graduate in weeks. Even if it was a program where the kids were being instructed and they were actually getting information. How do you get a high school diploma in a year? How do you do 4 years of high school in a year? There's obviously the program is obviously flawed if that's even a
Mm-hmm.
possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And why isn't the entire city saying, questioning what's going on?
Right. There's so much focus just put on some of the things that I think that should be looked at as, if we get on a preventative, plane, we should be good. It's always easier for some people to come out and say, let me show you this big, nice, shiny situation. But we're talking about kids.
Yeah.
Kids are supposed to be going through a K through 12 system. You're cutting them at the knees by telling them when they're 14, 15 years old, hey, learn what's in this informational situation and then come back and see me. So that means we've probably got people who've got insurance license and all types of stuff. If they're competent enough, this is possibly happening right now, right here in Ypsilanti. And nobody's saying anything about it. Nobody, I mean, other casters that I follow, I haven't seen anybody talk about this. Why are we so neglected still on the educational plane? And why don't they want us teaching us? Because I've got a real big gripe about the amount of white teachers compared to Black American teachers. They like to do over in Ann Arbor, they put principals in play. They got 1 out of 2 principals is Black in Ann Arbor, but they only got 9% Black teachers. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You got a whole bunch of Black leaders, but you ain't got no people that's ready to follow that Black leader.
Well, I know any individual who tries to advocate for kids who would suggest to a child that you have a voice, you can speak up for yourself. It doesn't have to be this way. Anybody that would say that to a child is going to get transferred at some point. It's going to get moved because they just want to keep it moving, keep it quiet, stronger together, which obviously we're not.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Those,
these
those
kids, the majority of the students are 4 to 5 years behind when they get to ninth grade. When they're
wow.
coming out of the middle school, coming out of that middle school that they keep switching buildings on, they
Hmm.
are 4 to 5 years behind, and that was that way before COVID. Don't let them tell you it's all because of COVID. It's been that way,
Hmm.
and then they just they're not going to recover that 4 or 5 years, and then they just get pushed through the next 4 years.
And who's lobbying for the kids, or is there anybody lobbying for the kids like right now, like who can do it publicly? And just I need people to be more than a thorn in the side of the administration.
Right.
I need them to be more than that. Who's actually active with trying to help these youngins? Do you see anybody, or do you see any groups or anybody that's truly trying to put something together? Because I'm just not seeing it. Everything seems so
No. Well,
episodic to me.
well, Shannon, I was just having this conversation with my daughter, and for years, for years, I have prayed for a community watchdog to
Hmm.
advocate for the kids in Ipsy, and all the people with the big mouths who are always seen, and I spoke with every one of them. I told them what I'm telling you, and I said we need somebody, you know. Oh, but I have to say that I have been told that I want to support you. I want to, but my nonprofit partners with the school district, and I don't want to mess that up. My nonprofit partners with the school district, and I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to upset anybody. So, I mean, you see where our priorities are. But as I was
Right.
telling my daughter, I said we need somebody who doesn't have an interest in the school district, and we need somebody who isn't employed by the school district to be that
Hmm.
community watchdog to
Hmm.
advocate for our kids. And I think my prayers may have finally been answered
Wow. I
because, well,
I guess I don't see how kids can walk up out of a educational facility not knowing half of what was attempted to be taught to them, and you give them a high school diploma.
look, I can't. What breaks my heart is okay. I'm from Ypsilanti. I live on the south side of Ypsilanti. That's another reason why this hits me so hard. Is this is my community. When I would go home from work, I was still with the kids. This is my community. When I go to the local restaurant and it's not open because nobody showed up for work, I feel
Hmm.
that this is my community. I'm
Hmm.
invested in what these kids learn. I want them all to be successful because they're all my neighbors. Um, yeah, I mean that's not the case for most. These poor kids. Oh, it's not fair. What this is my coworkers. It's not fair what's happening to these poor kids. These poor kids, and they go home in another community to their kids who are enrolled in quality school districts. I mean, I'm not saying they don't care, but I mean, we need someone who is. We need people to be invested in their community, in the Ypsilanti community, and stop just taking stuff at face value and really look at what's going on.
Do you feel like there's a lot of identity politics that are played into these things?
What kind of politics?
Identity.
Hmm. I
I'm
think a lot of people like not demonstrating, but promoting what they are doing for the kids. That it's always, this is what I'm doing for the kids. This is look at me. This is what I'm doing for the kids. This is what I'm doing for the
ah
kids. But you
got it.
never see the kids actually achieving anything or doing
Hmm.
anything.
Hmm.
I mean, you
So
see them posed, you might see them eating, you always see them eating,
hmm.
but you don't hear. I mean, there are some programs where, like the culinary program at Ipsy High School is exceptional. Did you know that? Had you heard that?
No,
Right.
no.
And the choir program was exceptional. But before this whole mess, had you heard that?
No.
Right. So I mean, it's almost like we're going to be quiet, we're going to be mediocre. If you're trying to be exceptional, you're just shining the light on all the other stuff that's not happening. So I mean, that could have been the whole issue all along. I'm just too extra.
The one thing that,
Yeah, Cynthia got what I said. Yeah.
yeah, she got it. She got
She
it. Yeah,
got it. Yeah.
yeah. Dr. Cynthia be on it. And the crazy thing to me with your situation is it's unique, but it's not. I mean,
No, it's
there are
not.
there's plenty of teachers who are put on the sidelines who need to be consistently in play. But your situation was so unique. They said that you did not threaten the integrity of
Hmm.
the teaching position. They
No.
said that you were not a danger to the kids,
Hmm.
and yet they took you out of your classroom, didn't allow you to come in and get your personal effects and things like that.
Hmm.
And then they wouldn't even allow the students to see you off,
Hmm.
and you had the valedictorian in your
Hmm.
program.
Hmm.
That feather in your cap, I mean, I don't know what triggered them, but something triggered them to the point where they said no contact, no this, no that.
Well, I mean, since I've shared everything else, and I don't know, this is only hearsay. My attorney said he spoke with the school district's attorney, and they both agreed that this is ridiculous. This is all because I won't bow down. This is all because I won't. I'm not intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? As much as I wanted to go back, as much as I wanted to be with the kids, and who wants to be forced out of their position,
Right.
but I've come to accept that was my time was up. I can't be there anymore. You can't work for the oppressor. You can't serve the oppressed. You can't try to save the oppressed people when you work for the oppressor. As hard
Right.
as I tried to do that, you
Right.
can't partnership. You can't be in a partnership with the oppressor and claim you're trying to save the oppressed.
And when you've got children who are literally given something that they don't know the power of, because if you do have the diploma, obviously I'm in the mind frame of, I think you need to go back and get the next thing. I don't believe that you can get a high school diploma and really get out here and live a substantive lifestyle unless you go into some type of skilled trades program that's going to
Mm-hmm.
pay you a decent
You got to
wage.
get something.
They've gutted the K through 12 system to the point where when things do happen, when things good do happen, you've got to question it, because you know good and well these kids can't read the way that they're saying that they can read.
Mm-hmm.
So who's doing the work? If the work's getting turned in, who's doing the work? Or are we just fudging the numbers and turning in any old thing just so we pacify?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Well,
that
you
what's
got you
happening?
got to count the beans and check the boxes and get
Okay.
that money.
Okay. We got a little bit off course, but we're just not really off course. It just went to another direction because it just
Mm-hmm.
shows the lack of respect
Mm-hmm.
that the Ypsilanti School Board has for its pupils and its
Yes.
parents. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're pulling the wool over the students' eyes. And I don't know if you remember the episode when JJ, they had found out JJ basically wasn't learning nothing in school, and they wanted
Uh-huh.
him to hold back. But the principal was like, you want to move forward with your class, or do you want to
Mm-hmm.
hang back? And he's telling James and Florida, your kid's gonna be ostracized. He's gonna be teased. He's gonna be this. He's gonna be that. If he doesn't move forward, like
Right.
go to the next grade.
Mm-hmm.
How come nobody ever talks about the repercussions? He goes through the 12th grade, then y'all spin him out into the street without any type of real skills. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
JJ could paint, but we're talking about a fictitious story.
Right.
But most cases, nobody's going to be on that level of being an artist. So we're talking about a situation just in the middle of nowhere. just out of the middle of nowhere, kids start getting diplomas at 14, 15, 16 years old. They just passing kids through, and ain't nobody saying nothing.
Right.
Don't they understand what's going to happen in 2025, 2026 when these kids turn 18?
Oh, it's going to happen before then.
I mean,
you held the rally.
Yeah.
You held the rally on Prospect. It's happening.
The rally, to me, when I looked at those mothers and I looked at those families, my thing was pretty cut and dry. I mean, it could have not only been prevented, but there could have been other scenarios put in play. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to make my mark on that situation that way. But these people are out here flowing like with some type of celebrity. You know, I mean, an educator was an unsung hero back in my day. Now they looking for clout.
Yeah, you got that right.
They are looking for clout, and people are giving it to them. I've heard people sing the praises of Zachary Ross. I've heard people sing the praises of the school board. Like they really are out here doing it.
You know, all of those families that send their kids to the Early College Alliance need to be concerned about the kids who are at Ypsilanti Community High School. All of those people who send their kids to Y High really need to be concerned about the kids who are at Ypsilanti Community High School. They need to be at those school board meetings checking up on those kids because it's their community, it's their neighbors.
Wow.
It's all our community. And I have spoken with a lot. Oh my gosh. I have spoken with a lot of our Ypsi parents who may live in some of the public housing, and you know, what they don't know is mind-boggling. I mean, there's a lot going on there. They don't have the resources to advocate for their children. They don't have the transportation. Yeah, they don't have the resources. They don't know how to look for an email, you know, how to find out who the school board is and send an email or make phone call, like to do it efficiently. Because if you try to call them, they're never going to return your call. They may never return your email. And, you know, all we know how to do if they get angry enough is to go up to the school and start hollering, and then they call the police on them.
Right.
So, you know, they don't know how. So those of us who do know how to advocate, we need to, you know, like you would say, I don't have a horse in that race anymore, but that's still my community.
Right. And the kids, obviously, you've got to be looking at them first and foremost, because obviously, I think your credibility is struck if you're a part of the program and you're not saying anything. But that's such a small percentage of people as far as the teachers go. When you've got the whole school running wild, and the district is just totally out of pocket. I mean, when will it stop? Because you're gonna have to meet that day of reckoning, so to speak. When you've put all these kids out here, gave them just a useless, baseless, toothless diploma. They can't do nothing with a diploma that they can't read. They can't read it. So why would you think that that's going to be beneficial for them to stick up under their arm and then walk in door one, door two?
I mean, I've heard kids say it. You know, I mean, like, I don't even know how I graduated. How did I get a diploma? There's so much, you know, like once they're adults and they're in the world, you know, they're saying like, there's so much that I don't know. How did I even get a diploma? It's like they just pushed us right on through. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, they kind of did.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't allowed to tell you that while it was happening, but yeah, that, you know, that it's that I could no longer live with, just watching kids getting screwed and have to tell them stronger together, go Grizzlies. Yeah, you're doing the best. You're getting a great education. Like, no, I can't lie to the kids. And I can't, no.
And I can't believe that this is being endorsed by people to make Zachary Ross look like, you know, paint that picture as if she's some type of real solid leader. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't come on here, believe it or not, I didn't come on here to make anybody look bad. I didn't, have my students protest to make anybody look bad. I just want to advocate.
Right.
I'm concerned about the kids. I can easily enjoy my life and the Ypsilanti Youth Choir, which is a wonderful organization, by the way, where they sing beautifully. Then just to show you how oppressed I was, in rehearsals with my new choir, I sent an email to all the parents and every single parent responded.
What?
And I was shocked. I didn't know how to act. I get to rehearsal and I'm working with the kids, and like some of them have printed out the stuff that I sent them already. They've rehearsed, they know their parts already, and they can all read. I mean, and I absolutely love my experience at YCS. I love those kids. They're the sweetest kids in the world, but they don't know what it's like to be at a school.
Mm-mm.
They don't have that, and I hope you can understand what I'm saying. But when you are in school, you got to have a good number of kids that are high achievers, and you can have some lower achievers, and they all have to learn from each other. That makes you a well-rounded student. You all have to learn from each other, but where everybody is just sitting in the same position, everybody's coming from the same economic position, they can't learn. It's oppression. It is oppression. They think they're okay.
Right.
They don't know how far behind they are because there's nobody in their class that's doing that much better than they are. They think they're okay, and they're not. And I don't think it's fair that
doing okay. There's levels to that. There's levels to doing okay. You can't say that a kid who can't read, write, count, and spell at 9th grade, you can't say he's all right. I mean, however.
Well, yeah, and what I started to say before I lost my train is like, 50 years ago, I was at Perry Elementary School on the south side of Ypsilanti, and it was all Black. And we were considered, the poor school, the disadvantaged school. But guess what? We could all read. We could read, and we all knew those times tables by 3rd grade, just like you were saying, and what happened to that? I mean, just because you're poor, why can't we teach kids why is it the majority of the kids that make it to 9th grade are 4 to 5 years below grade level? That's not right. They don't all have IEPs.
Right.
I mean, I know what it's like. There are Black schools that are predominantly Black where the kids actually learn to read. So, I mean, we're missing something.
And missing something is what's going to continue to happen. You've got teachers in
people
place
aren't held accountable.
Right. You took the words right out of my mouth. You got teachers that are not holding their end up, but they're not being held accountable by the community at large, by Zachary Ross, by the school board. None of these people are doing their job.
Well, I would never blame it on the teachers, because if a teacher, if you fail too many kids or you give too many bad grades because the kids aren't doing anything, that's going to be reflected in your evaluation. They're not gonna get the kids, they're gonna get the teacher. So you have you have to fudge your grades. You have to do what the administration tells you, or you turn up missing. You have to push them along. I mean, I've been told it could have happened to me where you give a kid a failing grade because they didn't show up, or they came in class and they were on their phone all the time, and you give them the grade they deserve, but lo and behold, it's a different grade. The grade gets changed by somebody.
And nobody's cross-checking that these kids are getting younger and they have diplomas and on their way to whatever school that is going to allow them in, because they've lied. They've lied. So they'd be able to get into places if they could just actually meet the standards, meet the minimum standards, and they know they can't.
Mm-hmm.
These people that are in play know they can't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, cross-checking. I don't know. I mean, I certainly have not kept my mouth shut. That's why I am no longer employed there. I'm screaming. I'm screaming. This is a violation of civil rights. I don't understand how this is okay. And that's just one thing, but that was the thing that sent me over the edge.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing.
If you're gonna be in a space to do what you're supposed to be doing, is your calling is supposed to be helping kids, and you're allowing kids to walk through this, basically, I mean, I just look at it as, it doesn't matter what you accomplish, we're going to give you this diploma that's not going to help you, that's not going to do anything for you. I truly believe it is definitely child neglect, but it's child endangerment, because this child is going to grow up to be an adult. An adult who will not be able to hold their own function.
Right.
Just function. Okay, tell me this. If you're putting a kid out there at 15, 16, and let's say once they get to 18 and they have this diploma that they haven't been able to do anything with, is nobody understanding where this could happen once 10, 15, 50, 100 people in the same district have the same, nobody's thinking that far down the line.
Anybody's concerned about 1 year out. I mean, I know of one of these students, and I had seen the kid. It was during COVID. And I said, "Are you online? Are you doing all your classes and going to online school?" And he said, "No, I already got my diploma." And I knew that this was a kid who, who struggled with school. And he said, "No, I already got my diploma." And I said, "How did you get a diploma? How in the world did you get a diploma? And your senior year is not even over yet?" And he shrugged his shoulder. He said, "I don't even know. They just sent it to me in the mail." But the young man passed away over the summer. He was a victim of gun violence. He passed away over the summer. And the school
He said he didn't know how he got it.
He didn't know how he got it. But listen, when he passed away, school district didn't mention his name.
What?
Didn't so much as send an email to say we lost a student.
So was he one of the individuals in the cluster shootings?
No.
Oh, so he was someone separate. Okay. Because I remember the cluster, and I have to call it that because there were four.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. All of those
I believe they all got their diplomas the old-fashioned way.
They got their diplomas the old-fashioned way, but they also were participants in that program, text or call to be in attendance. And the shooter himself graduated, even though there was verifiable proof that he didn't have any communication with the school his last year in school. And there was a special ed teacher who was basically doing the work over at Pathways. Ain't nobody brought this out either.
Okay, I don't know. I hadn't heard that.
Oh, I see. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I only know about this because
when they said that student and somebody at Pathways was doing the work.
Well, no. So the kids were originally, I guess, Ann Arbor Public School students. Okay,
I'm thinking
and then they go to the alternative school of Pathways, because Pathways is basically your last step. It's instead of school to prison pipeline, it's basically pathways to prison. Like if you don't make it Pathways, there's nowhere else. It ain't like you can just skip to ACE. Like there's no other way. So what was happening with Pathways kids is they were getting diplomas as well. They were getting the grant money, this, that, and the other, and they couldn't qualify for any of this stuff because they could not read, write, spell, and
Right.
count.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes, I've heard.
it was showing that these kids were in school every day or engaged. Basically, what they were saying is they were engaged because they did the whole we calling in. That was all false.
Mm-hmm.
That was all. These kids were not going to school, whether it have been in person, online, nothing. They weren't going to school at all. And the shooter had a tether on when he shot the kids. He shouldn't even been nowhere in the vicinity because it wasn't near his work. It wasn't near his home.
Mm-hmm.
He's just over there and just starts shooting. So I always looked at it. It might be, maybe they're connected. Maybe these people are connected in some way. I ended up talking to the shooter's mother, and he's not at all. He's not connected to anything really, just other than, being a participant of senseless violence. And I look at that as neglect, because your kid is out here wrecking havoc in the neighborhood, in the community, and you don't do anything about it. I think you need to be brought up on the same charges as if he's out here shooting people, because you know about it better than anybody. So why wouldn't you be held accountable too? I'm all for that with the right circumstances. A parent needs to be held accountable if their kid is out here wrecking havoc and keeping other kids from being able to learn. I don't want to blanket the situation, because I think every situation deserves its own, case number, let's say. And so I'm not going to generalize this thing, but truthfully, I'm not seeing exactly how these people are not looked at as criminals, because you are endangering children by saying they're okay, and you're sending them out into the world with nothing.
I knew of a student who, during the COVID year, she started, and then she started having family issues at home. So she just stopped. She didn't go to school at all. And she went to Ypsilanti Community High School. She wanted to enroll. She said, I couldn't do online. It didn't work for me. I couldn't do it. So she wanted to enroll in person. And she said, I don't care if I'm behind. I'll do that extra year. I want to do that extra year and make up for last year. They wouldn't let her do it. They put her back online. They would not let her, because I guess she was missing too many credits. And I guess she was too big of a risk for not graduating. So they put her back online. And I don't know how much she attended, but she did graduate. But I mean, she wanted to be taught, and her, she was having issues with her mother, so her mother wasn't there to advocate for her. And I told her, I don't see how it's possible for you to be denied an in-person education. Like, I'm pretty sure
right,
that if
right.
that's what you want, the school district should provide it for you. But her mother couldn't advocate for her. I don't know what the situation was.
Wow. Well, John Henry said, we appreciate you out here putting the real info out. You are fearless. Salute. And
Thank you.
Dr. Cynthia said, back in the day, our parents prioritized reading, writing, spelling, math, history, music, science, and physical education. Absolutely. I mean, they wanted us to run the full gamut on an educational level. Everybody's not going to be an athlete. Even everybody's not going to be a singer or a musician, this, that, and the other. So we had to arm ourselves with.
But you know what? Back when I first started teaching 36 years ago, I started teaching in the middle of the crack epidemic. And a lot of the parents were just not functioning at all. Parents were not functioning. And when those kids came to school, we dressed them if we had to. We washed them up, combed the hair if we had to. But while they were at school with us, they had to be good citizens. We loved them. We loved on them. I mean, I've had students that went through terrible, terrible family situations. Situations that ended up on the news. But when those kids were at school, they learned. We held them accountable. They had to learn, and they had to behave themselves. And we gave up on that. They introduced conscious discipline somewhere around 2015, 2016, And to me, that was really the end. That's when they started the stuff where, kids cut up, you send them to the principal's office and let them play with Play-Doh. You let them go cool down for a little bit and send them right back to the same teacher that they cussed out and called every nasty word you can think of, and you send them right back to that teacher's class.
3 + 3 = Jello.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
you literally have nothing going with these
I mean,
kids.
I think that's what happens. That the behaviors got so badly out of control, the teachers couldn't teach. That the classrooms the kids are running the schools. The kids were so much out of control that teachers really couldn't teach. Good teachers who wanted to teach, they were breaking down. They were in tears. They couldn't control their classrooms, and they weren't getting any kind of support with discipline. And that's how so many kids get so far behind. And as far as I've known, I never taught at the middle school, but I've never ever heard any teacher say it was good. Nobody ever had anything positive to say about it. The word I hear is lawless. And the way teachers get cussed out on the daily, and then when those kids get to the high school, already out of control, those are the kids where, okay, you messed up twice. We're sending you across town to the alternative school. Oh, you messed up, off to the alternative school. So you got these kids that already have so many emotional issues. And there was a time after COVID when I thought, okay, all of these years they've been telling us, well, we can't send them all home. And COVID just proved, oh, yes, we can send them all home. So my thought was, if kids are disrupting, they should be sent home. But I also thought they were going to be educated. Like there are homeschooled kids who are educated. They're not just playing a video game. Some way, some program, somehow. I guess there's a parent at home, but these kids are learning, and these kids are just being thrown out. I mean, they're already so messed up by the time they get to the high school, and then as soon as they get to the high school, they get kicked out.
Right. And
What happened to 3 of my students last year?
Really?
Yeah. And and they say you can't put them online unless they're grade level. Biggest lie ever told. None of them were grade level. They were all way below.
Right.
And they had, I mean, one, it wasn't even like what she did wasn't even all that serious, but she got put out and they put her online. But bless her heart, she still wanted to be in the choir. And she was saying, yeah, they got me in this class that I never heard of, and ain't nobody teaching me. They ain't no Zoom. They just got me answering all these questions, but I can figure it out because they give you the answers.
Sure.
And this was a freshman.
I've just seen so much half stepping out here where our kids are concerned. I'm not even sure exactly who would have the nerve to do some of these things, knowing there's going to be ridiculous blowback down the road.
But there isn't. I mean, maybe there will be. I don't know.
They'll be on to the next thing. They just be on to the next thing. I mean, there's literally nobody checking.
No, they're too busy checking the teachers that are working hard.
That's a shame. That's a shame, to the point where what happened to you is huge. But what they're doing to these kids one by one, when they've pretty much confirmed that the systems that are in play are fake. I mean,
they are.
They're fake. So
teachers all over the country will tell you that it is not about the kids. It's not about what's best for the kids. It hasn't been for a long time. It's about staying open.
Right.
Just report the right statistics so that your school can stay open and you can get paid. I believe, I know that our current, not our, the superintendent gets some kind of raise, like $6,000 a year or something like that, if enrollment increases. So if someone's doing something that would cause people to leave the district, that's definitely affecting their pocketbook, because they got an incentive to increase enrollment.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate your story. I know that this is going to be taken the wrong way. They're going to think that you're trying to stir the pot, but I think the way you brought your story, you stayed right on the point of you've always been about the kids. This was never anything about you trying to buck against the higher ups, the admins, school board president, none of that. This was about you trying to protect the kids. This was about you
And it
making
still
sure
is. Yeah.
you still are. I mean, here's the thing. Because you essentially knew what was going to happen when they held you out this long. You knew you weren't going back. Even if they would have invited you back, you had already basically said, you know what, I'm done with that.
It would have been
that,
very difficult.
Right. With that being said, how do they plan to move forward? You've left a crater on their staff. They can say that they're going to put in somebody that's going to
They don't care. They don't care what happens to the music program. That was never their concern. They had a great music program. They didn't care. They never said anything about it. They didn't say anything when we went to Carnegie Hall. It was like they was mad.
What?
The kids went to Carnegie Hall in New York City, performed in the largest cathedral in the country, and they received high marks. They are actually adjudicated. They went to a real choral festival, and the district didn't have anything to say about it. And
Who gets mad? Who gets mad about kids going to Carnegie Hall?
And that same year, I was not rated as a highly effective educator. I was actually marked down, and I actually yelled at my evaluating administrator, who was the athletic director at the time, but he's not there anymore. But I actually yelled at him and said, "What the hell do I have to do? What the hell does a music teacher have to do? The kids sang at Carnegie Hall in New York City. What else do I have to do to be considered highly effective?" And then he looked at me and said, "Well, okay, in that case, you can be highly effective."
You have to continue to do what you're going to do with these kids. The Ypsilanti Choral Association has been solid. I appreciate their support of you and in the children. The kids are obviously being affected by this. What's kind of their day-to-day thing right now, knowing that you're not going to be at the high school? Every kid wasn't a senior last year. So what happened to those underclassmen that were going to be upperclassmen, and even the underclassmen, the incoming freshmen that knew about? Where are those kids at now? What are they a part of? Are they a part of the Ypsilanti Choral Association? I mean,
no. Well, it's okay. So I know very little about the high school now, since I haven't been there, and I'm not trying to be nosy.
Fair enough.
But I have a couple of students who are still in the Ypsilanti Youth Choir. They did hire a new choir teacher. It's my understanding the choir is very small. And the kids, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I purposely set our rehearsals across the street so that the kids could get there easily, and they're not coming. I don't know if last year was just too much trauma for them. They don't want to get their hopes up just to lose, just to lose it again. I don't know. They're oppressed. I don't know what they're thinking. If they're thinking they're going to get in trouble if they associate with me. I honestly don't know. So It's sad, but it's open for them. It's open for anybody in any community to come sing in our choir Mondays 6 through 8. No, 4 through 6. Mondays 4 through 6 at Ypsilanti Free Methodist Church, 1800 Packard Road. Bring your little kids. I'm still a good teacher. We're doing good things. We got a busy season coming up. Come on and join us.
I put this thumbnail together and I put your name up there, and it says sent because it had such a double meaning. I've looked at you being God sent. I think you are a godsend for many kids throughout the years, and you continue to be that. And then I look at what they did to you when they sent you away.
It wasn't what
When
they did to me. It wasn't what they did to me. It's what they did to the kids.
well, what they did to the kids by weaponizing their power to take you away, they directly affected the kids. And
Mhm.
people see your suspension and your eventual
Mhm.
termination of employment, but they don't realize the long lasting impression that it's going to have on the children.
Mhm.
Several of the kids who had graduated from here on, not this past year, but years past, came to speak up for you
Mhm. From Ipsy High, yeah.
from MC High.
Yeah.
So you can't just put into the frame of this wasn't a hot topic.
Mhm.
This wasn't something that just happened within the kids that were at the school this past year. There were kids that came back that are now adults,
Mhm.
kids with kids.
Yeah,
Spoke up.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, there were kids with kids that spoke up
Right.
for you. And all that fell on deaf ears where the school board was concerned. That's why I feel like somebody needs to be looking at this. Somebody needs to be looking at the detrimental situation that they've caused, and there's no going back here.
No.
There's
Well,
absolutely no
I'm
going back.
convinced that everybody, the entire community knows what's going on and can clearly see through the crap. I ran into, I won't say his name, but my favorite administrator of all times. Well, one of them, and one of the most respected men in Ypsilanti, and
Mhm.
he said, I don't know what these crazy ass people are doing. So I mean, if he would say that, I mean, he's just the sweetest, kindest person. And he spoke of which school board members really need to go, been there a long time. It's time. I mean,
Mhm.
if this man is saying it, if this guy is saying it, then I mean that lets me know. That lets
There,
me know.
there, there are a few people out here who aren't afraid to speak their mind. I appreciate the fact that I have a platform that I can speak unapologetically. And then when I get people like yourself who are courageous enough to come speak the truth, and that's why I titled it The Whole Truth in
Mhm.
Your Own Words. This isn't going to be newspaper clippings. This isn't going to be hearsay that I heard, because I
Mhm.
spoke and said, hey, I misspoke on the situation about you singing and making the video to put together a grant to get a sound
Mhm.
system. It was for the grant, but it was not to get a
Mhm.
sound system, because those things, they come out when you're having these conversations in these circles of the school board meetings and parents meetings and just, community at large meetings, things like that come together. But that didn't hurt any of this. What hurt the most was the fact that they chose to take you out of that school at such a
Mhm.
vital part of the school year and disengage those kids from you.
That was malicious.
That's
It was straight up
child
malicious.
neglect, child
Yeah.
neglect. That's child neglect and it's child endangerment. Here's my thing, and I'm glad we didn't have it. You had kids that were so connected to you and so connected to the choral association and so connected to just being a part of that group. What if we had an unfortunate situation where a kid might have had a situation where it would have just been too much for them? And you know
Uh,
what I'm getting at.
it kind of, they're safe now, but yeah, some kids emotionally
Right.
got messed up their grade. It happened. And I suspect that's why they're not getting involved again, because they're scared it's going to happen again. But I mean,
Wow.
it's just like they said, they're used to being disappointed. So they don't even want to be a part of something good, because in their lives, everything that's good is taken away from them. It's like they enjoy being mediocre. They enjoy not having anything going on, because then they got nothing to lose. That's oppression.
Man, keep doing what you're doing. Keep blessing these kids with your presence, with your tutelage, with your wisdom, with your love. The song, They Don't Really Care About Us, has so many more meanings to me now.
Mhm.
And that's the other reason why I put it in the thumb, because they didn't really care about you. They didn't really appreciate what you brought to the table.
Nah.
They didn't appreciate that you were the table. And the kids who sat at the table of Crystal Harding, what they got out of it, because it was more than just a letter grade. It was more than even just learning songs and different things like that. You built character in a lot of those kids.
Tried, yeah.
And they were willing to just let that go as if it never ever happened.
That's what they thought.
That's crazy to me. But I
That's why
appreciate.
That's why I gotta keep talking. They wanted to erase me. They wanted to erase me. They wanted me to be quiet.
And
got the wrong one.
They got the wrong one. And there's just enough people out here who are going to say, you know, she shouldn't have did that. She should have followed suit. She should have, you know, caused all that discord. Well, you're basically saying she shouldn't have stood up for the children.
Right.
And if you're saying that, who are you at this point?
Right.
You're telling the children to be sheep. You're teaching the children to be sheep. Do not stand up for yourself. I had even told
the kid said, kids told me, what if you get in trouble? What if they try to fire you? And I told them, if they do, I can handle it. And it's worth it. I mean, this needs to be said. This needs to be done. They need to hear you. They need to hear what you got to say. So I'm willing to make the sacrifice, and I'm glad I did.
And a lot of those kids, they don't hear that, Crystal. They don't hear it's worth it and you're worth it. A lot of kids don't hear that they're actually worth. So many kids out here today are just existing because nobody is really loving on them the right way. And it's so episodic that when they do feel worthy, and you made them feel worthy at all cost, at all times.
Yep.
That's a problem within your administration, that someone takes these kids from 0 to 10 and does things with them that nobody else. There's grown ass people out here that ain't never gonna see Carnegie Hall.
Right.
Never.
Myself included, without them.
Think about it. Because that wasn't on your radar as an individual. That was on your radar to show these kids something that they'd never seen before.
See something else. Yeah, get out of this city. See something else.
It's amazing. It's amazing how many kids don't even know or have gone to the Hitsville Museum. That used to be a field trip. That was just a field trip.
Right.
Now you got kids that ain't gone nowhere down the road.
Oh, they don't know where the landmarks in Ypsilanti are.
This is very true.
They don't. I mean,
this is very true.
So it was wonderful to have them doing performances, unauthorized field trips at the library, at the Freight House. It was just always, they know where the transit center is. It was just always mind-boggling to me that when I would try to tell them where something was, I couldn't reference. It's down by the library. It's down by, they know where Puffer Reds is. So yeah, it's at the Puffer Reds parking lot,
And it's no slight on Eric, because I believe Eric is a credible businessman.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's done
it. Slighting. No.
But
these
if
kids don't know Ypsilanti outside of their own neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
So it was always a pleasure to be able to take them on all these unauthorized field trips so they could learn about their own city and learn the history of their own city.
There's been some incredible people that have come through Ypsilanti. The first Black man that was a principal of a school was from Ypsilanti. A lot of people don't know that.
Which one?
I just did.
Perry?
What's his name?
Was it Lawrence C. Perry? Was it Perry?
No.
Okay.
Give me one quick second. Give me one quick
Well,
second.
he wasn't the principal. They named the school after him.
No.
Was it Mr. Beatty?
Beatty, Richard Beatty?
Eugene Beatty? Charles Eugene Beatty?
Yes.
Okay.
And like 1942 or something like that.
Okay.
Somewhere. Yeah. Crazy thing was, I believe that was before we were universally allowed to even be in school. I've got that. Give me one quick second. Let me just show you. I'm gonna show y'all. So I'm gonna show you something real quick here, and then we're gonna get out of here. This was the craziest thing to me, was that people didn't understand how essential, like Elijah McCoy. People don't understand Elijah McCoy and who he has been, to when people talk about the real McCoy. When you talk about the real McCoy, that's Elijah McCoy, and he died penniless. The man died penniless in the city of Ypsilanti, and that's crazy to me, that they allowed. I mean, is there even an Elijah McCoy street? Is there anything that's dedicated to Elijah McCoy that talks about how vital he was to the railroad industry?
And that courtyard by the downtown library where that fountain is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's something down there.
There may be something in there. Okay, give me one quick second. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you this video. This video. So we got here. It was crazy to me that when I saw these videos, home, there we go. Where's some videos at, right? Oh, okay. One second. So I learned a lot from Monica Ross Williams. I learned a lot of history. She talked about Miss Maddie Dorsey.
Yes.
She talked about, people like that had done so many different things for the city of Ypsilanti, and they just were not looked at. They were not looked at. I want to view this channel. Yeah, why aren't we at this channel? Okay, there we go. And I said, if I ever get a chance to talk about Ypsilanti, I'm going to talk about Ypsilanti the right way. I'm not going to be in one of those situations where it's always going to be throwing shade and this, that, and the other. But I want it to be, I always wanted to be forward thinking,
right.
in my situation. But I want to bring this up here before we get out of here. Let me see, because it's a real brief thing. But this was something that I saw, and I'm sorry, we're gonna have Kevin Hart's little naked body on here because it was the way that the clip came out. But just check this out. I'm gonna watch this. Yeah, so right there. Yeah, this is
but before
this is when they got
I
him.
really get deep into the messages of today, I want to salute some people. As most people who know me, they know that I'm from Washtenaw County. And I'm actually from Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is inside of Washtenaw County. Okay. And I take full pride of that. I take full pride in where I grew up, where I was born and raised, and, was able to spend all my life there, until I decided to flee, and go to Atlanta right after I graduated from high school. So spent all my 18 years in Washtenaw County in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then, got up out of here for a minute and then came back. But I love the city of Ann Arbor. I love what it did for me on an educational set. I love how it built a lot of character in me by being around a lot of people who did not look like me, but also growing up around a lot of people who did look like me, a lot of family. I had a lot of family at the time in Ann Arbor, so I was proud and thankful of that. Growing up around a lot of men who own businesses, women who own businesses in this town, that was a great thing. Ann Arbor will never ever get back to what it was. I believe there was a renaissance for Black Americans in this town, but there was a renaissance. There was a true renaissance, I think, as well, for Black educators. Now, where they like to salute now in the Ann Arbor public school system, that we are, well, we got 44%. I think it's 44% of the schools have a black principal, right? 44% of the schools have a black principal. But what I know it to be, I know a lot of those people to be figureheads. Okay. The numbers don't mean anything if you don't have any power. And when you have 44% of the schools in the Ann Arbor school district having black principals, but you've only got what, like 9% teachers? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even compute how you can have that many leaders be black, but you don't have that many teachers being black. So, I mean, it's all good, but it's not. But I understand it, but I don't. So the main thing that I want to do now is I want to actually salute some people. Two people who actually played really, really integral parts of my life. And let me blow this back up here. I want to salute the Miles. Okay, I want to salute the Miles. Harry and Joetta Mile. Now, Harry Mile was the first black teacher in Ann Arbor Public Schools. And I don't know if a lot of people know this. And I'm glad if Ann Arbor politics don't block this, because y'all can see why I put y'all in today. I ain't been putting y'all in the streams lately because y'all get problems from your people who read the stuff or listen to the video. I don't even think they listen to the video. They just don't like me putting up videos in Ann Arbor politics. But y'all always ask me, like, does this have anything to do with Ann Arbor? Well, this absolutely has something to do with Ann Arbor. And I try to get it in with the first 10 minutes so y'all understand. So hopefully, if y'all didn't block this in the Ann Arbor page specifically, I need the Ann Arbor page to recognize Harry and Joetta Mile. Harry and Joetta Mile are two icons in the educational sphere in the Ann Arbor Public School District. Okay, so please understand the respect that I had for Brother Harry Mile. I was a Mason at one time. I guess you're always a Mason. I probably could become a Mason again. I mean, I just got to pay my dues, right? I don't know. I ain't gonna pay no dues. I don't want to be a Mason again. I was a Mason. It was a time in my life that it was what it was. We were actually, me and my father, I guess we were the first father-son combination to ever go over. We were first. I don't like first, and y'all know I don't like first. I don't do first. What's up, Jackavelli? What's good with you? Coming in here with my hood name. He came in here with my hood name. I mean, a lot of people who know me, they know me as Buff in my area. So, and most people don't even call me Shannon, when I'm out in the streets, they call me Buff. So, if you know me for show, my name is Buff, headed for I'm 53 now, about 37, 38 years. It is what it is. So if somebody comes in with that name, that's who they talk about. They ain't talking about Colorado Buffaloes. So don't start throwing no shade on Brother Prime. It ain't got nothing to do with the Buff Nation. It's just me. And that's my nickname for the last 38 years, maybe even 39 years. I don't know. It's a long time. But yeah, Harry Mile, first black teacher, and eventually became a principal. But his wife, Joetta Mile, was the first black principal at the high school I went to. She got that job the year before. Actually, she got the job the year I started high school. And, it was one of those things where I didn't know how important that was back then. I just didn't know how important it was back then, and really what she had gone through in the Ann Arbor public school system to get to that point, to become the first black principal at Huron High School. Now, since then, they've had plenty of black principals, head principals, assistant principals, and things like that, and none as impactful as Joetta Mile. So Joetta Mile and Harry Mile are indeed icons in Ann Arbor, okay? They are indeed icons in Washtenaw County. They are indeed icons in the educational world because they are first. They are first. Harry being the first black teacher at the Ann Arbor Public Schools and eventually becoming a principal, and Joetta being the first black principal at Huron High School in 1986. So I salute them. I salute Mrs. Mile. I believe she's still with us, and Harry is one of our ancestors, I believe, at this point, if I'm not mistaken. So I just want to make sure that when I get this video done, I'm gonna chop it down and I'm gonna put it out. And if anybody has any type of connection with Mrs. Mile, make sure y'all send this to her to let her know that Shannon McFall, who used to have to come down to her office every now and then and again, put this video together for her. So this is one of the things that I like to do for the people that I revere as icons, because I don't look at a lot of celebrities as icons. I look at people like this as icons. These are the true icons of the world. Educators are the true icons of the world, and educators all around this nation are catching hell. They catching hell because they are overworked and underpaid. They are under-resourced. And I know that they probably had to go through a lot of the same type of things that the teachers are going through today, on top of having to deal with the discrimination, on top of having to deal with the bigotry, on top of having to deal with the racism. Okay. So I definitely salute the Miles today, because they are Ann Arbor first. They were first class, and they are Ann Arbor first. Now, let me skip on down the road a little bit. It wouldn't be Ann Arbor without being Ypsi, right? It wouldn't be Washington.
Attention retirees, if you're willing to be at your computer from 9 a.m.
Can't hear you, Shannon. Are you on mute?
Am I talking? Did I mute myself?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I muted myself. I'm sorry. That was very unprofessional. Yeah, I did a video about the brother, and he was the first Black principal. I would have thought that would have happened in Detroit. I would have thought that would have happened in Flint, Benton Harbor, Kalamazoo. It happened right here. Right here in Ypsilanti. And I don't think a lot of our Black educators are looked at and respected the way they are. I don't think someone looks at you on that same plane. I mean, you've done wonders. 36 years. You don't do anything for 36 years if you ain't doing good. Think about it.
You would think so, yeah.
Think about it. Who could last in the school system for 36 years? You can't run, duck, and hide doing wrong for 36 years.
No.
Well, we can't.
No, I can't. You couldn't even do good for 36 years.
There you go. There you go. So I'm looking at, I appreciate your efforts. I know it's come to a close for the school system side, but you're still teaching.
Oh, yeah.
You're still teaching. You're still educating. You're still giving that wisdom up. And the thing is, you're performing for a higher power. I read your post, and you were never performing for Ypsilanti Schools.
Hell no.
No,
post at the beginning of the school year. God is my superintendent. Jesus Christ is my principal, and the Holy Spirit is my evaluating administrator. I sincerely meant that.
All right, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here before we have to start passing around the coffer. We have to get out of here before we start passing around the coffer. But in all fairness and in all realness, can people donate to the Ypsilanti Choral Association?
Absolutely.
So what I want to do, we'll do this on the back channel, and the next time I come up, because I believe, this 3-hour discussion, this is really what it was. It was a discussion, and I wanted the truth of things to come out, and some of the things that might have not been true, they came out. That we made sure that they came out. I want people to start to look at the organization that you are a part of, because truthfully, where Ypsilanti's at, school system wise, I wouldn't have wanted to give them one plug nickel. To where I know now it probably would have been a mismanaged. It wouldn't have gone to your program. It wouldn't have gone to your kids. It wouldn't have helped the situation that you had in play, because I don't think they're doing the right things by the children, by the money they received. And now with this whole thing back and forth with Willow Run, we about to be in the midst of another shit show with the Ypsilanti school system, because I can't believe that they're just going to go back over there and just use the middle school. I think they'll go back over there and see, well, you know what? We've got so much territory. Why don't we bring this? Or why don't we bring, it's just going to be wild.
That'll be the 4th move in 10 years.
4th move in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They were at
And
West,
nobody's
they were at
saying
the middle
anything.
school, they were at East, and now they're going back to the middle school.
How come I looked for a post today. I didn't see nobody talking about this. People are talking about the thing that happened at the IES school.
Right. They call it WISE.
WISE.
WIES. That's WISE.
That's why our kids spelling the way they spell. They call that WISE.
Yeah.
WISE. I mean, you know, WIES. Okay, got it. Some things just don't make any sense. Sometimes I look at Ace. How many C's Ace got in? About 3, 4 C's?
2.
It's only got 2. Okay, I guess I think I'd be adding them on a sarcastic end.
College career education.
Okay.
Achieving college career education. I believe that's what it stands for.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would love for a kid to rightfully, earnestly achieve a C. Since you got so many C's in there, can I get a kid that can actually get a C? Because y'all don't even have a kid that's actually can get a C. And I heard this too. Those curriculums are not, they can't transfer. Like, they like if a kid's in ACE, but they can't go right over to YCS where that stuff equates. Like they're kind of behind still. It's a different curriculum altogether. I found that out because
I'm not sure that they go back.
Huh?
I'm not sure that I can't ever think of a situation where a kid went back. They just graduate from ACE.
That's how I learned about pathways, because I was like, well, pathway situation. So you got to kind of like take classes at both. But when you take the classes solely at ACE and solely at pathways, that's a whole different curriculum altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that curriculum, you've got the IB curriculum, then you got your standard K through 12 curriculum. That's not wise. That's not wise. WISE. They ain't got nothing to do with YIES. Do you know anything about that situation that happened over there? Have you heard anything about that? Because I saw many
video. I saw the video just like everyone else.
Right.
I've heard a lot of things about that. I mean, just stuff that's been in Ypsilanti area discussion.
Yeah.
About parents being not satisfied with the administrator and the way things are handled.
There's a history.
I have a homeschooled student in my choir who left that building for that reason. So I mean, there's definitely something going on.
Same administrator?
Yeah.
So there's a history.
Yeah.
But no investigation.
No.
Wow.
I guess she never took them on unauthorized field trips.
That's what it takes right now.
Right.
That's what it takes right now. Hold on one second. Somebody's in here. I was a student teaching with Rick Ingram.
Oh yeah, I typed that in there. In 1986. That's when I was student teaching at Huron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was her first year.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Wow, man.
So were you ever in choir, Shannon? I might have had you.
So here's the thing. By the time I got to high school, I had kind of dropped out. I started dealing with really the radio and TV, Desmond Ryan, Mr. Ryan.
Okay.
Radio and TV teacher. And I started getting into that, the broadcasting part of it. Okay. I was doing performing stuff, but I sang. I was in the all city choir, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. Yeah, I could carry a tune, I guess, back then.
You should join our choir. You should join the youth choir. Everybody can join. We need bassists.
Y'all don't need me in there. I get in there and actually think I could still sing or something. Y'all don't need me in there. I love to think that I could still carry a tune, but I don't think I can. But my granddaughter, I might have to bring her down.
Please do.
This girl has the bug. She has the bug, and she's singing songs. Now it's so funny. She was singing. She done learn. She can sing pretty much any Jackson 5 song, any of the hits. Then she done learn Saturday Love by Alexander O'Neal and Sherelle.
Okay.
And then her new one is Bill Withers' Lovely Day. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
beautiful.
Yeah, when
Well,
she's
you should bring her and you should sing too. You really
maybe.
should.
I won't say no.
Right. Well, then
But you know
don't
what?
lie. That's all right.
If I can influence her by
Uh-huh.
being there myself, because it's got to be something that she thinks that we're just doing. Because as soon as she feels like she's being put, she's not quite there like yet, just running up there,
Uh-huh.
but you get her in that mode, and
Uh-huh.
she gets to doing her thing, and it's just so crazy that her outgoing spirit is so wild. Because I'm like, it skipped some generations. Like, everybody's not like that in the family, but I was a very outward person. I didn't mind doing those types of things, but she's got it. You know, her brother's shy, but then he'll get behind the scenes and be singing. And I'm like, who's that? Then he came over and picked up my bongo drum. I feel like there's performers in them. They just gotta be brought out. They just need to be put in that perspective. But we'll talk more on that, because I'm not against it. She needs to stretch out a little bit, as does he. I think those are character building situations, because every kid ain't gonna pick up a ball and a bat and all that. Some kids need those types of situations, and you gotta put these brains to use, because these screens are killing brain cells.
Yeah, you can always, bring them by. It's not gonna cost you anything, just gas money to get there.
I got you.
If they like it. If they don't, they don't.
Okay. Well, the fellowship is one of the things too. They need to be around people that are doing things. I mean, I don't always want them to be an anomaly. They need to be around people that are doing things and work and just learn. That's how you teach kids.
Right.
The camaraderie and teamwork of it all. So we'll talk more on that. I did not know. I didn't know that. I thought these were kids that you solely. This is open to the general.
Everybody.
That's love right there.
Yes.
We're gonna talk more on that. We won't come back and have this situation where we got to put people in their place on a verbal level. We want to talk more on that, and that's really what we need, because I think we're losing that. I think that's why we're so disengaged with one another, is that we don't show enough collective behavior, and that's what you tried to build within that program. You weren't just trying to teach kids to sing. You was trying to build a collective behavior and
serve your community, how to be a decent human being. Yeah.
Yes.
Reach for something greater, not the bare minimum.
Look outside yourself, things like that. I mean, it's not about you, but this is the way you got turned doing that. So Sister Crystal, I appreciate you. Just keep pushing. Keep doing what
Thanks
you
for having me.
They couldn't stop you. That was the crazy thing. And we talked about that. Me and Christy Bullock, they're like, they couldn't stop you. That was their big issue with you, was they could not stop you. And your determination and your will. And then they saw the kids banding up. They was like, oh, okay. So basically we got to silence her.
Right.
We've got to actually silence her.
Couldn't do that either.
Couldn't do that either. And then now you're on the other side of it, and you're still singing, and you're still serving, and you're still teaching,
and still talking,
and still talking. And that bottom right corner, I put that YCS and put that stop sign over the C, because I don't want to stop Ypsilanti, and I don't want to stop the schools. But that C in the middle, I want to stop the C. And the C stood for clown shit. So I want to stop that. And with that being said, we're going to go on and get up out of here.
Okay.
Sis, I love you. Keep working, keep grinding. We're going to talk on that level, because I'd love to get her down there and just, you know what? It'll be some crazy mess if somebody sees me up in one of your shows talking about, and on base tonight, the Villager on deck, Shannon McFall.
That'd be awesome. That'd be totally awesome.
It'll be a crazy thing, but you're great, and you deserve all the positivity that you got coming to you. I love you, and we love you.
Thank you so much.
And don't stop.
Thank
all
you
right,
so
because
much
we really do care about you.
Thank you.
We really do care about you.
I know. I can
all
feel
right.
it.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless, and good night.
Good night.
My bedtime.
All right, Russell Simmons. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.